sweet tonight. And now, your host, the lady who wears the pants when she goes on rants, the trip with the wild hair flip, Jessie Milestone.
What's up, guys? This is one of only a couple of times I've done a Jeff-less intro because Jeff is still finishing up the High Council in the other room, i.e. the bathroom. It's our only other room. What's up, people? I've been away for what feels like forever. It's been like a week. I was on vacation. We went to Ohio for Jeff's stuff, his mom's birthday and things like that. So I say vacation because it's very familiar and vacation-y for Jeff, but definitely a newer situation for me. I've met his mom a couple times now, but it was really actually it was very vacation-y. It was very relaxing. His mom was super sweet to me, so future fam and all that. What? But cool. So we're gonna. What's going on in the world? Let's see. Who's here? Old School Lou is here. Duran, Mad Mardigan, the plug 78. I'm dyslexic tonight. Greg Kirby, Andrew Malachinsky. What's up? Movie Block Productions, 8K, The Gaming Night 17, Nerdy Gamer Gal, Holocron, Library Fox. Who else? The James Baker. Beth is here, of course. Shadzar is also here. What's up, people? And we did already have a super chat roll in from Ian Slater. Let me go get my other dashboard up. It's so far away because I'm so very, very late, all of like 10 minutes-ish late, I guess, for just no actual good reason. Actually, the literal reason was I was sitting here. It was like 9:01. I was like, I'm about ready to go live. And then I was just finishing a text conversation with my friend. And we were realizing it's close to our friend-iversary. So I stopped everything to sleuth when our friend-iversary actually was, which was really totally unnecessary because he sleuthed faster and sent me that answer, which is the 18th of July. July 18th is my friend-iversary with this friend of mine. What's up, that incel that likes Doom? You were the first one in the chat way earlier. We had a very brief exchange, and then I went back and we went our separate ways, and you were here. So Doxy Mama 82, thank you for the welcoming back. Duran, I don't know if Beth is short for Elizabeth, but I know that my middle name is Elizabeth, so that's has nothing to do with Beth's first name whatsoever. I just felt like sharing. Star Siege Player, what is up? So let me hit this super chat, but also I do want to bring in our special guest nice and early because I do have a lot we want to talk about. This is going to be a topic-wise a little different than what you're used to seeing from me here. It's going to be really interesting, though. It's going to be really, really fascinating. Also, for context, for those who don't know, I was helping somebody crowdfund a movie about a giant mutant penguin a year or two ago, a couple years ago now. God, I don't know when, years ago. I made a last-ditch offer to wear a bikini top in a video if we met our crowdfunding goal at the 0 hour, which did not happen because I was just going to be, part of this movie. It was going to be cool. But he wrote a book instead and released that as part of a dual horror comedy collection called Grind Forest. You can see, the parody Grind House. That was the Death Proof and Planet Terror. But double up by Rodriguez and Tarantino. Anyway, words. So this guy wrote that stuff. But in addition to writing hilarious, very meta horror comedy, he also writes about this cool project that it's called the Pale Blue Dot Equation. It's in he wrote a book. I'm just gonna let him tell you more about it. I've read a bunch of things. I'm not going to paraphrase this as well as he is, so I'm just going to make sure I send him the invite link so he can come tell you about this himself. But this will be a really fun time. I know. I'm sending Rick the link. Is that you in there? I know. I'm aware. Okay, I'm present and accounted for. I'm sending Mr. Foreman the link as we speak. Monsieur Foreman. All right, and if I remember correctly, because this was a correction, I accidentally mispronounced it. He spells Rick sort of differently. And I actually called him Ricky earlier on, and he corrected me to Rick, unless I'm misremembering, and that happened the other way around. But I think that it's Rick, but it's fine. Anyway, the point is he's this really great guy who's done a lot of stuff. He's definitely one of these, if you can't do it anyway kind of people. Can't make this movie fine, I'll write a book. All I need is not even a pen and paper, just these digits and typey places. And he did it. He did the thing. And I'm the worst ever because I was like, I'll read this and review it on my channel, and I'm still in the reading process because I am bad at finishing tasks. That's a fun fact about Jesse. Fun fact about Jesse: I have a lot of trouble starting tasks. Finishing tasks that I start. Starting, not usually a problem. Although what I found is that because of my judgment of myself about my inability to finish tasks, I now sometimes fail to start them because I'm so afraid of not finishing them that I just don't start them in the first place. And unfortunately, some awesome people like Rick are the occasional. And you can ask author Stephen Walton, who had to wait until the 0 hour again for the chapter I promised for so long for his book. So I just try to be really good at what I do and make it worthwhile, or make the wait worthwhile. That's my goal, is just be cool enough that the wait is worthwhile. But speaking of waiting that we're not going to have to do anymore. Oh, right. I was going to go find the super chat first. But I'm not going to do that because now our guest is in the green room. So I'm just going to get ready to be able to read the super chat. Maybe I should just read it. I clearly should not take weeks off of streaming because I just forget how to do it. So Rick, I see you down in the green room there. Just hang tight for one quick second while I finish up thought number A through C, and then we can proceed on to D. This is how it's like actually talking to me in person. Let me tell you, it is a trip. I just start like 5 different stories and then eventually come back around and finish them, sometimes in reverse order, sometimes sequentially, sometimes not at all. But anyway, that super chat's from Ian Slater. Thank you so much. It switched my shift doing days now, but here is some super chat cash. Keep up the good work. Aw, catch you on the replay. So hello to Ian Slater and anyone else catching us on the flip side, i.e. the replay, if you're not, on East Coast time, and or go to bed at a civilized hour. I mean, West Coast time. I live on the West Coast. I know what day it is. It's Tuesday, probably, most likely. Anyway, so without further ado, welcome, Rycke Foreman. Welcome to Mindless Entertainment live in person for the first time. How are you tonight, sir?
Hey, Jesse, how's it going? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay,
I'm trying to see. We have a small delay right now between your voice and the sound. I see your mouth moving and the sound is taking an extra second. There it goes. It's synced up. Sometimes it just takes a minute to settle itself down. So I see sarcasm on your shirt. Now I need to know what the rest of it says.
Boy, yeah, I figured that was absolutely right. That was my Father's Day present from my daughters.
Amazing.
Whoops, there we go. Yeah, it looked very right for Mindless, so,
Oh, perfect. Now I want to know where is it? I have a sarcasm shirt that my listener, Macy Van Dusen, had sent me. I'm allergic to stupidity. It causes me to break out in sarcasm.
I think we all need one of those.
Right? I'm like, yes, that's my everyday, this is what I want to say to you shirt. But today I just threw on Supernatural since it was handy. So that's my life. I'm like, yes, I haven't had any requirement to wear a shirt today since today is not a going shopping day. So what's clean and nearby? That's kind of where we land.
I hear that.
So it is so cool to actually be talking to you face to face. We've had countless email exchanges over the past years now. At this point. So hello and welcome to this show. So
yeah, hey, it's great to actually talk to you. Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. And I just want you, Jeff will be jumping in here as soon as the High Council wraps up, but they're finishing that show up in the bathroom because our apartment really doesn't have another room. So we technically have a kitchen and like the door even closes to it. It's fancy and all that in a little hallway, but the only place to really keep noise from bleeding over is the bathroom. So say I love it.
That's bad. I've got almost all my kids living with me right now. One's in the living room. All the bedrooms are filled up. I mean, yeah, it's just we're kind of all in our own little cells right now.
That's how it has to be sometimes. How many kids do you have?
A total of 4, 3 living with me now, and the oldest one's girlfriend's living here also. So,
wow, it's definitely a party, huh?
We're packed in.
And remind me what region of the country you hail from.
Pretty much the dead center of Arizona.
Oh, cool. We have a
There's a little spot. Probably 5 miles away. It's called Centerville.
Oh, we have before. Yeah. Centerville.
Yeah.
It sounds aptly named. Centerville. It's in the center.
I am so imaginative.
What's this place? It's like kind of right in the middle of the state. It's in the center of the state. Let's go with Middletown. No, that's a very New England sounding name. Let's go with Centerville. Centerville sounds more American.
Oh, I like it. Let's put it on the next town council meeting.
There can't be any others. No, we're the first ones to ever think of this. It's incredible. So, oh man. Yeah, we have another listener, Sean Firefart. He runs the channel Go Big Boar or Go Home. It's an awesome channel devoted to big boar, guns. I know things about guns. And most I know of random amalgamation of things that taught to me largely by people who have then given me guns to use, have told me, and then other people have told me things too. So it's my gun knowledge. I just assume because you live in Arizona, you probably own at least one, but I could be wrong. So
I probably shouldn't admit this. I actually don't own one.
Oh, fancy.
Can you believe that? I know. Crazy, huh? So,
okay.
On the other hand, I think anybody who wants to own one should be able to. So,
amen to that. I'm pretty pro. I've been. It's funny. Like the more I'm learning. Someone was asking if that was Shipankake. I believe that was Shipankake that just tootled him by. Let me get a glimpse of his face. Because Jane is there, and Han is there, and then that's Lando right here. So that must be Shipankake, even though he's kind of hiding. Have you been following the antics of Shipankake the cat at all?
Man, I have been on YouTube almost nothing recently. No, so sorry.
It's okay. Shipankake has been on Twitter mostly. He has his own Twitter page now.
I didn't know that. I'll have to give you a follow, definitely.
You definitely should. He just posts pictures of himself and types in all capitals. And we're working on the YouTube because he's got his own little voice. He just talks to Pop all the time. And that's Shipankake. So.
Right on.
We love our Shipankake. And for those just joining us,
cat.
He is great. He's going to make us $1 gajillion. We're convinced. For those just joining us, make sure you do press the like button. And this is our guest, Rycke Foreman. His name is right there in the thing. And he's here for reasons. And I don't know. Let me try to find out real quick where how close Jeff is to wrapping up. I don't know if he doesn't take his phone in there with him. This is the kind of thing. If anyone is double dealing in the chat here and also watching, the High Council, because I would like to, well, it's okay. We can bring out stages. I want to get into, the real purpose of our conversation, but I also want Jeff to, be caught up. And then again, since we'll have viewers coming in and out, we can always do a recap when he gets back. So, we first met because you had asked me to come on board as I thought was a really cool idea, which I think is going to be a really big part of movie making going forwards, which was essentially, it was asking YouTubers and social media influencers to act as the executive producers for this film project, essentially saying, look, we have a bunch of independent creators, a bunch of independent minds between us, so we get the right amount of people together, the right amount of reach and funding that we could, fund a decently sized project. That was the the go for it. And unfortunately, the initial run didn't get to where you wanted to go. And so it became a book. And then hopefully, I hope you haven't permanently tabled the idea of going for the feature film, because I still am my listeners too. I don't know if anyone's in here tonight. My listeners still ask me every now and then. I get a comment or a message or something. Hey, whatever happened to that giant penguin movie? So we still have a lot of some buzz in the community about it.
I do hope we can go forward with it one of these days. Yeah, definitely. So I just the idea was shelved a little more on the bookshelf back there, but yeah, I do hope to do that in the near future. Living right in the center of Arizona is not the greatest place to produce and make films from. So in the next year and a half. Oh.
Sorry, keep going. I'll be right back. I can hear you. Just the cat knocked something down. I got to deal with it. But keep going, and I can hear you.
No worries. So anyway, in the next year and a half, I hope to be getting out of Central Arizona. Still trying to figure out where we're going to go. LA is one possibility, and on the other hand, I'm really not sure I want to live in LA. Yeah.
I can certainly advise you on that one way or the other. So,
right.
There's I would, especially for movie making and stuff. Actually, depending. I mean, coming from middle of nowhere Arizona, the Inland Empire is going to seem a lot closer to things than not. It's it's going to be 45 minutes to an hour away from sort of the main LA County area. But it's desert, be familiar, climate, probably slightly better weather, closer to more things too, and you can get real estate hella cheap right now in a lot of those areas. So,
that's awesome.
It's definitely, if you want that proximity to LA, to where you can have access to some of its resources, especially filmmaking wise, actors and stuff that are within can do a day work because it's only, it's close enough that they can do a day work. You're now tapped into all the extras you can want who are willing to work for very small amounts, all the crew that are willing to work for low to no budget, etc. So it's that would be my just off the cuff suggestion if you were looking for somewhere with LA's accessibility, but without having to be in LA. So
no, that's awesome because I mean that's it's a lot of what we're thinking, pretty much. I don't want to live in the middle of that mess. I actually lived there as 9/11 happened.
Oh, shit.
And we just moved there a couple of weeks before, too, and I was like, oh, great. I just moved us here, and I knew the next plane was going to be hitting L.A., but
right. Thank God.
Fortunately, that didn't happen, but yeah.
That must have been a scary time to be here, though, not like kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop in a sense,
Oh, man, it was bizarre. Probably the weirdest thing was just, the city went quiet.
Yeah.
That was weird. No air traffic, no helicopters, very few cars. It was crazy. It was creepy, yeah. But
I'm sure it was weird.
Anyway, I would.
I say it was weird enough when all the car traffic died down. It really only happened for them completely quiet was those curfew nights. Then we still had freaking helicopters all over the place. So, but it definitely driving without traffic has been a nice side effect of the coronavirus. Of course, there's nowhere to go. So,
right. Yeah, little gains and benefits and problems from everything that comes around.
Oh yeah. Meanwhile, it's like middle of the country, you still have, or the middle of nowhere, you have the same rough access to the middle of nowhere things, but just less sick people because you're lower population density. So there you go. So on to the matter at hand. So that's how we met, and that's how we became friendly and talked and all this stuff. And then you brought somewhere early on as well. You brought my attention to this other project, this pale blue dot equation. So I've owned the book. It's on my thing, my tablet, iPad, whatever thing I own, waiting to be read. My little iPad mini, if it's a zillion years old, waiting to be read. But I've read all the other, supplemental things and the inspiration for it. And back in the day when you were first telling me about this, I read all the everything you sent about that. So I do have a bit of a framework. The audience is completely in the dark. So if you want to just give a little, however you want to introduce this, I'll leave it to you.
Well, that's the hard part because this ends up being fairly grand scale by the end of things, or at least has the possibility to be grand scale by the end of things. But I don't know. I guess I could start by saying I became a fan of mindless entertainment. I don't know. You and I seem to have a lot of the same concerns. We seem to think in the same general direction a lot of times. And I think you and I can both agree, man, the modern world is a mess. And so, being a weird screenwriter, I sit around a lot of times and just kind of brainstorm. And at one point in time, I was kind of thinking about trash, and I had seen a little snippet about a guy, a British engineer named Richard Sawa, S-O-W-A. And he had built a small island out of plastic trash down in Mexico.
Actually, I'm prepared for this. I got a little picture of that. And actually, I don't know if you saw, that's the thumbnail for those guys. For those of you who saw the thumbnail for this stream, that's the same place. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Perfect. And as you can see, when I first say trash island, you might be thinking of a trash barge and nasty heaps of trash. But you can look at this place and man, all kinds of foliage and greenery grows. I'm pretty sure they grow some different kind of fruits on there and vegetables. I think it's all solar. Boy, it's been a while since I've looked this over. I've forgotten a lot of the details, but anyway, yeah, I saw this, and for my own introverted reasons, I've always wanted my own island.
Yes.
And so, I started thinking about actually doing this, but I don't know. I didn't ever limit myself when. I didn't ever really put a cap on it. And I started thinking, there's so much plastic in the ocean right now. If we just keep gathering it up, man, we can build acres and acres and acres worth of islands. It's a little hard to get exact amounts on how much plastic is in the ocean right now. But, it's at least tens of billions of pounds or pieces, or I don't quite recall, but yeah, it's a staggering amount.
Even though the majority is under the water, a lot of it is buoyant, and you bring that together, you bring enough buoyant materials together, and you have, for all intents and purposes, infinite buoyancy, not obviously infinite, but enough to hold up whatever it is you want to plop on top of it.
Yeah, exactly. And so anyway, it eventually occurred to me, we could build this thing up, sail it out into international waters, and, we've got to start making our own rules. Although, I'm not looking for pure anarchy here, although I kind of like some of the idea of that, but I mean, we could actually form nations out there on these small little floating islands. And kind of from there, I was thinking, well, maybe we should be inspired by how we treat our seventh continent right now, Antarctica. Mm-hmm. I'll say that right the next time I bring it out, I promise. But anyway, Antarctica, it's dedicated to science, it's dedicated to peace. Man, I thought that would be great if we could kind of take that same general concept and go with it. One of the things I would actually like to do, if we could start really pulling it onto a grand scale and we start making this extra land for us, one of the main things I would like to do with the islands would be to open it up for scientific research and stuff. Boy, there is a lot of science not going on right now because people can't afford it. And then, let's face it, a lot of the big corporations and the military, they're not always looking out for our best interest while they're spending our money developing things.
Of course.
And I started thinking, there's other things too. Oh man, how many tens of millions of displaced refugees are there annually now? I don't quite remember the numbers, but it's tens of millions of people who have no place to go. And, there's a lot of nations of the world right now not really willing to open their borders. And, I feel horrible for those people. Man, I think they have as much right to live as I do. And yet, they have no choice.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought that might be something else we could do with the islands. Animal sanctuaries, things like that.
I mean,
go ahead.
I say it's such a fascinating idea because your options are really become limitless at that point. And if you can build, I mean, you have the advantages you have are, you know, like you say, international waters. So you're away from, if you can get this off the ground, you're away from corporate interest, from military interest, from things like that. And then, opportunities then to have sanctuaries for people who don't have somewhere else to go, homes for homeless people, and a purpose for them, because obviously it takes a lot of manpower to keep an operation like this self-sustaining. You know, you need people who are going to grow an island, are going to whatever best offer facilities power that. If you have plants, people who trim trees and cut grass and all of these things, all these basic, I mean, you have everything from incredibly skilled labor, scientists who want to explore. I just read a fascinating Nat Geo piece about a scientist whose big thing is like this adventure exploring for scientific purposes, and he just identified the world's southernmost tree, you know, so people like that, right. This is such a great opportunity for them to go on an adventure, you know, to set up somewhere where they have this freedom that they don't necessarily have anywhere else. But then also for unskilled laborers to have a home, a place, a purpose, a job where, you know, whereas the market is saturated maybe where they are, or nobody's willing to give them a chance because they smell funny. You know, it's the back and forth, you know, I can't get a job because I'm homeless, and I'm homeless because I can't get a job. So, But it creates a lot of those opportunities. I'm going to interrupt this flow for just 1 second to address the super chat, because motherfuckers, we've been going back and forth via email as well and live as well. He's a Cowboys fan, for context. He says, I need to go do some things, but first, 1 year? Yes, Zeke is a little overpaid, but he's going to be around for at least 3. If he can watch his weight, he has abs, but somehow still chubby. Out. All right, Mardigan. You are mad indeed. Okay, Zeke has had 3... This is how many years in the league now? This will be, I mean, if we have a season this year, this is going to be his 5th season already in the league. I got to go back, because 2017 is the year the Eagles won the Super Bowl. That was Wentz's 2nd season. He was drafted the same year as Prescott. Anyway, nobody cares about football on my channel except for me. But the point is that he's already getting old for a running back. Running backs have very short tenures, especially workhorse backs who do all of your carries. I think if Zeke hasn't already peaked, I think he's this season is going to be the last really good one he's got in him, and I think we're going to see his play go way downhill, and then the Cowboys can suck it, basically. So that's pretty much it. Those are my thoughts on that. And then we got Rosetta Allen says, I'm angry, Jesse. Check your texts and see what they are pulling on me. I did. It sounds like my good friend Rosetta is getting dicked on Twitter. She's getting pushed off of it with no that's retarded. So she's can't log in because it says you're currently logged into an account that is neither suspended nor locked. Please log out and log into your suspended or locked account. But she's suspended and locked from that account. That's some BS. So there you go. So there's the football and there's the Twitter sphere. And where were we? Everyone's pressing the like button, I hope. For those just joining us, Rycke Foreman, screenwriter, awesomely talented dude, and we're discussing this incredible idea for taking, essentially, the starting point is taking the trash that's floating in the ocean and bringing it together to build floating islands, and then the options from that point are limitless. So
pretty much, yeah. Anything you can do with society, and I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's absolutely the thing I was going to ask next. Now we covered some of those options, and we'll keep delving into that because it's so fun to be able to go on a positive, a positive rabbit hole, if you will, and explore some of the great things we can do. And as you pointed out, this can start as a very small thing. Only a small group of people getting together can, like one guy built this whole island for himself. So what can 10 people do together, 20 people? And then if the word gets out and this gets backing from the scientific community, environmentalists, etc., where can this project go? So the possibilities are really limitless on that front. What do you foresee? What would some of the major setbacks be to an endeavor like this?
Oh, man. Natural disasters or man-made disasters. One of the problems we are dealing with is the acidification of the ocean. So that would probably, I think that's one of the maybe bigger challenges we face. I mean, if we can get out there and start cleaning this up,
Mhm.
let's look at Mother Nature. I mean, she tends to heal herself pretty well. We just need to dig all the dirt out of the wounds right now, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if we don't do that, man, in 50 years, fresh water is going to be more valuable than gold by far.
Well, that was,
and
one of the things they looked at when LA had that really severe drought just a few years ago was the only plausible solution to keep LA with sustained fresh water is to build water purification, like desalination plants, basically along the coast. And so at the time it was scary because like, all right, the one that's ready, closest to being ready, still has X number of years on it, which was at the time, if we hadn't gotten the rain that we got, LA was going to run out of water within a year. And fortunately, Mother Nature decided not today and then gave it rain. But
right.
few real wet seasons there. But at any time, we're still, even with all this saturation, all the rain we've had over the past few winters, are still, this close to being right back into those severe drought conditions. We're in a desert climate. Things are very dry here. It only takes a short spell of severe heat and no moisture to recreate those conditions. So I don't know what progress has been made since then on these desalination plants, that they've still been constructed with the same urgency. Because if they haven't been, the next crisis we run into, we're going to be just as far from a solution as we were last time.
Yeah, exactly. And I know Arizona is really facing a freshwater crisis right now too. And I guess we've got a lot of corporate farms coming in, but they don't have to report how much water they're using, if I understand what's going on correctly. And boy, we've had a number of cookie cutter communities raised up here in the last couple of years. I mean, man, we're sucking water out right now, and
it's just not being
really no telling how long it's going to last. Yeah.
And that's people don't look at the big picture. People kind of look at the immediate circumstance and a lot of times it's what makes me money today. It's not, and that's something we really don't have as a society. I think this is a value that has been lost by the wealthiest people in our country and the world for the most part, And the thing is we have this imbalance where the wealthiest people control the vast majority of the world's wealth. Just a small amount of people whose ideology is not centered around the big picture. It's centered around accruing more of that wealth for their individual, more wealth than one single person could spend in a lifetime. And all they want is to keep up. It's like an addiction, keep compiling more and more of it, and not think about, the fact. I mean, so it was actually, as a comedian, it's a very culturally minded comedian who pointed out that out of his own pocket, Jeff Bezos could solve the homelessness problem in this country tomorrow.
Right.
So,
instead,
Jeff Bezos' focus, he's got his eye on that prize of becoming, the world's first trillionaire, because that's way more important. He's been lining his pockets in the coronavirus crisis. And from what I understand, I mean, last I heard, it was absolute miserable working conditions to be in an Amazon fulfillment center, and that was before there was a national crisis where more and more people than ever were relying on Amazon deliveries. And now we're at a place where Amazon's so oversaturated that Prime cannot keep up its 2-day shipping fulfillment on many of its orders. You imagine how backlogged they have to be in order for that to happen. First of all, you imagine disgruntled customers are probably bitching about that and getting their money back. But then you can only imagine what the fulfillment conditions are right now. If they were bad before, I'm sure they haven't gotten any better. I'm sure he wasn't like, you know what? Now that there's this mass crisis, let me suddenly decide to be, responsible and treat my workers well. So that's it's not going to happen.
No, I mean, let's face it. I mean, if you're going to get into that position personally, you really can't value other people's lives. You can't value their liberty. You can't value their happiness. You can't really even value the society you're in that you're feeding off of. I mean, that's one of the things that just blows me away. I mean, you're looking at all these, I don't have to put anything back into society. It's just mine to take, and it's like.
Exactly. Like,
You know,
you have that much of that. It's the basic economic cycle that people don't understand, and it's the reason why trickle down economics has never and will never work, because it relies on the idea that people are going to put as much back in society as they're taking out for themselves, and that reality has never manifested, especially at those levels. I mean, people want to pat themselves in the back. I gave this money to charity, and most of these charities, they're pocketing 60% of that shit for themselves. You know, I did this good thing. I gave money to Black Lives Matter, hooray for me. And this is the thing I point out, you know, J.J. Abrams, for me, is a perfect example. He's so proud of himself that his company is going to give $15 million over the next 10 years or some ridiculous number like that. And I'm like, you know what you could do with a fraction of the money that would have a greater impact tomorrow? You could start a community filmmaking class. You could go to a place like Crenshaw or Compton. Fuck, don't even go there yourself if you're too pussy, if you're too chicken shit to go there. Give the money to people in those communities, the teachers in those communities who are willing to start these programs. Fund them, give them this equipment they need, give them the protection that, yes, they will need if they're going to bring, you know, valuable equipment into a neighborhood, you know, that's maybe an iffier neighborhood, you know, supply them with these things so that the kids who want it can now get a marketable skill. They live in Los Angeles, for Christ's sakes. They can get on a bus and be on a film set and have a job as a PA instead of having to, you know, sell drugs on the corner to pay for their mom's habits. So
Exactly. And yet what I saw a couple of years ago now, but I can't imagine this has changed much, you know. In the last, what was it, decade or maybe 2 decades, California's built 1 university and 22 prisons. It's like, if you want to stop building prisons, build more universities.
More universities. Exactly. And why won't we do that? Why? Because universities categorically don't make a ton of money, not for the economy anyway. They make money for themselves. They get massive endowments, but even, you know, university professors aren't necessarily paid all that much. Whereas prisons, since we privatized the prison systems, prisons are a booming business that rely on people being incarcerated to continue to make more money. They don't care. Prisons don't look at, you know, because they have the luxury of saying, oh, these are prisoners. I don't have to look at them as human beings. They just look at where can I remove X number of cubic feet so we can pack more of our, you know, prison beds into these into this yard, so I can, because they get X amount of money, you know, from the state as well for the number of prisoners they have. It is valuable to them to keep people incarcerated. It is not valuable for them to rehabilitate prisoners. It is not valuable for them to see the crime rate drop. It is valuable to see them come in. Likewise, the hospital systems. Pharmaceutical companies pay for the majority of our medical research in this country. And we are number 1 in funding medical research. But all that money's not going towards cures. It's going towards palliative medicine. It's going towards expensive drugs that these companies can patent, sell to you at a ridiculous premium, even when you need them to live. Even when their research could have solved your ailment, could have cured your ailment years ago. There's no money in cures. There's money in keeping sick people sick.
Yeah. Spot on. And that's... Oh no, yeah. I do a lot to control myself, but Jesse, you wouldn't believe how often I look at you. Oh my God, you don't know.
And it's so difficult, you know, because almost anything you look into, you dig into deep enough. You're like, let's reform this. You get back to that. You get back to, well, somebody is going to lose money. I mean, you look at like high fructose corn syrup. That's a substance that is illegal in Europe because it's just a chemical that makes you die. And we can't get rid of it because it's much cheaper to produce than regular corn syrup. And, you know, Iowa's a farming industry that produces the majority of our country's corn relies on it. And rather than, you know, offer incentives to farmers to manufacture regular corn syrup instead of high fructose corn syrup, to give relief to farmers who are going to be hurt or have to lay people off if they're not able to produce the same amount of crop, you know, produce this, if companies aren't buying the same amount of crop to make high fructose corn syrup, you have to create incentives and opportunities for these people, not just take it away. But no, why would we do that when we could just keep letting the people who make high fructose corn syrup get rich, and we'll all get fat and die and continue straining the healthcare system, which we're already doing because people would rather be free than be alive. That's kind of the basic doctrine of this country. We'd rather be free than alive.
I mean, that's the crazy thing to me about modern America. I mean, man, I'm all for as much personal liberty as possible, freedom of speech. You know, come on, man. That's, as a writer, that's kind of my bread and butter. But
Absolutely.
Where was I going with that? Oh, damn. Yeah. I managed to take a left when I should have taken a right. And I don't remember what I was saying now.
That's me every day. You heard my like completely
Yeah,
disjointed hand waving before you came on here. Oh, I'm alive. I'm on the internet. People are watching me. What do I do? Ah, I'm a professional.
Whoa!
Exactly. That's how I professional with my like missing slats. I've got like a homeless person background here because I'm in a house, so it's the opposite of that. But I'm in a home, an apartment. But we replaced these slats like earlier this year, and the cats within days knocked some of them off. So I have these crap ass shades that are all like, realistically, I should just put the green screen up over here, and then I can be anywhere. So,
see, there you go, right?
Green screen now.
The magic of filmmaking. Ooh.
It's amazing. I made a video for those of you who haven't seen. I did just put up a video using my green screen, so now I can do all my gesticulating in front of a giant cow. It's awesome. Hey, Betsy, you can use your green screen to be anywhere in the world. Where do you want to be? In front of this fucking cow that I filmed. You know what I'm gonna do next time? I'm just gonna put the cow sticking its tongue in and out of its mouth, like sticking its tongue up its nose on loop. Next time, that'll be my green screen. And I'll be like, why? Now the cow sticks its tongue up its nose. I'm very confused. It'll be great. It'll be awesome.
I was thinking that old movie Top Secret. Every time I see your logo, every time I see the cow, it's just like, I see that old cow standing there in boots with spots painted on it.
Oh, so have you heard the story of the cow? Have I ever explained to you why the cow is the cow? It is on I did make a video for it for the channel as well. But this was a cow that was mocking me.
I don't think I caught that one.
I was in New Zealand. And this cow was mocking me. It was sticking its tongue repeatedly up its nose over and over. And every time I tried to take a picture, he would just stop. And I was like, screw you, cow. And so I finally caught a video of him doing that. And then I took a still and I was like, bam! And then when I made my channel and I decided I was calling it Mindless Entertainment, I was like, what image do I personally own? Because I'm not an artist. That exemplifies the idea of mindless entertainment to me. This fucking cow. My epic struggle with this fucking cow. So I used the cow.
Picking its own nose with its tongue. That's...
Yep.
Man, that says it all, right?
Everybody.
Should have happened in America. That's all I could say.
Yeah,
I thought New Zealand was classier than that.
You would think, but this fucking cow. Ow. Ow. So right as he was climbing off of me, another cat knocked something off of the other side and said, ow. Why are you so bad? There you go. Okay, bye. There he goes. There he goes. All right, so where were we getting into? Okay, so we were off on the rabbit hole of corporate greed, and we were discussing what are the biggest hurdles in creating and then sustaining a successful floating scientific mecca, as I've dubbed it.
Right. No, that's I don't know, the big grand crazy vision. Yeah, that's pretty much what I see it as, a big scientific mecca.
Yeah.
I like that. So yeah, man, there's hard to say how many different problems I had. I would love to find new people to discuss this with. Actually, that's part of the reason I am happy to talk about this now, and hopefully find some more folks. Let's see. I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about maritime law. What there is, I do think there's a general consensus for what's going on out there, but that's not really my forte. Would love to find people that I could, discuss that kind of information with. I've had weird questions come up. Could once we take possession of the trash, is there some way we could be legally charged with it, or stuff like that? The various natural disasters to think about.
Yeah.
I don't know a whole lot about the ocean, but I do know that there are calmer parts and much more turbulent parts.
Yeah, absolutely.
So figuring out, where in the world would we park this thing? Would we even want to park it? One of the things that did occur to me, if we're dealing with food production, and I do think that would probably be one of the main things going on with pale blue dot. Boy, we got a dark future as far as food goes. In about 50 years, we're going to be running out of topsoil. And, man, nothing can grow at that point. And systemic collapse of the food chain right on up to us pretty soon.
Yeah.
So I think things like food production would maybe be kind of a vital part of what we do. And it also occurred to me, I mean, if we got these series of islands, maybe we anchor them down, but maybe we don't. Mm-hmm. And if we don't, I can't think of what it's called, the solar equator, maybe. We could pretty much keep ourselves parked under the equator and grow year round.
Yeah.
Unlike a lot of, landlocked societies and countries, stuff like that. I mean, I guess part of what pale blue dot is for is, I mean, we really need to step into the future now. We don't live in caves anymore. I mean, man, life 100 years ago was completely different than it is now. Mm-hmm. You know, all of us like to think we're badasses, but we'd have probably died. You know?
Absolutely. Well, there, Greg Kirby makes a good point too. There's aeroponics and hydroponics. No dirt needed. There, I mean, I do know more and more about like hydroponic growing and stuff. That, I mean, if you're going to be in the ocean, obviously some form of desalination technology is going to have to be a must on a place like this. It would be a great place for botanists to make strides in hydroponic growing as well. So
yeah, absolutely. And I had actually thought, seaweed is extremely nutritious.
Sure.
Here we are living in the middle of the ocean. Maybe that ought to be one of our main agricultural crops. So
I would think so. And when you look when you can also look at things like, rice paddies, I don't know how much, what kind and how much soil they require, but certainly they require a lot of water to grow in. And if you look at some of that now you're close to recreating essentially a Japanese diet, which is, fish, rice, and seaweed. A lot of those things end up in the diet, and for all intents, they are some of the healthiest people on the earth. So you have a lot of you're looking at creating that's what they call them, blue zones, where I think one of them is one of the world's few blue zones is an island in Japan, which is basically, it's measured by, since men typically live less long than men, it is measured by the percentage of men who make it into their 90s. Yeah, so those are really interesting to look at. I know three that, I think it's only like 5 or so that exist. I know of 3 of them. One is Japan, and it's that very much that kind of diet. The other one is somewhere, it's a Mediterranean island near Greece, and it's a very Mediterranean heavy diet. Also a lot of fish and a lot of different plants and natural oils. And then the third one that I know of is Loma Linda, which is not far from LA. And they have some interesting ones. They're 7-day Adventists, so they're all vegans, and they don't even allow smoking inside their city limits, which is really interesting. But so they all have some similarities and some differences, but some of the things they have in common are very natural diets, very unprocessed diets, and then very strong senses of community and purpose in them.
Right.
And like, something like this is a great recipe to create that kind of environment. It'll be definitely an interesting, anthropological study as well. So it's kind of the really neat, element of this is you have so many different layers to look at, and obviously you need some form of governance, and whatever that is, it would be very fascinating to explore. And some of the things you were talking about, I can't remember the phrase you specifically used in the email you'd sent me before, but I think I have it right here, where you referred to it as I liked it, scientocracy. Yeah, I just loved that. I loved, scientocracy. What a great, a society based on knowledge, based on scientific knowledge and your understanding of what is good for you. I love that idea. I love that idea as a social experiment. I love that idea coming from a world right now where facts mean so very little. Everyone loves to quote Ben Shapiro, facts don't care about your feelings, but at the end of the day, facts don't care about your facts, because I've been experiencing
Exactly.
and for every fact I have to say this proves my point, someone else has a completely different fact, and a lot of it is just, you know, where these numbers came from, who gathered that data, and which.
Well, I mean, even subjectivity.
Exactly.
You know?
And which
I
number,
mean,
yeah.
So that's that's why I'm a big fan of the scientific process and not a big fan of religion or politics or. I mean, every one of them is telling you something for their own benefit and to get you to believe their way.
Yep.
And to not be open-minded, not to be thoughtful. And, you know, it's frustrating as hell being an American right now.
It really
Especially
is.
A thoughtful American.
It's impossible. It's like you're not allowed to think anymore, because thinking, there's a you know, a monopoly on thinking, and only certain types of people are allowed to think about certain things in certain ways. Otherwise, you're bad or you're evil or you're this. You know, it's there's no basis in science or truth or anything to, you know, for the way that people treat each other right now, for the idea that somehow the white man is inherently evil and bad, or that men are inherently, you know, more bad than women, and all these ideas that have no grounding in society. They're completely feelings based. They're entirely reactionary and based on what I feel, what I want, you know. And that's even the fucking, we have a global pandemic. We have a virus, a physical, studyable, observable virus. And the scientific community can't open its mouth without that information being co-opted by either the left or the right to try to further their agenda. I mean, you have these ridiculous assertions coming from both sides that somehow wanting to open schools on time is part of politics. You know, or that the desire to allow online schooling is somehow a political move to make the White House look bad is just absurd. And then also, I mean, the left hurts things so much by every little bit. You know, the scientific community says this might do something. Let's put it there as fact. And if you don't do this, then you hate people. When it turns out, no, we did one study and we're not sure, it's not conclusive yet. So then when the CDC comes out and says, we haven't actually endorsed this, everyone goes, look at the Democrats, they're such liars. And then when the CDC comes around 2 weeks later and says, okay, we have all the scientific information, now we endorse this, everyone goes, oh, you're just pandering to the Democrats. No, we're just the scientific community. We needed to take more time to compile more evidence before we could come out as, we didn't not endorse this policy before, we just didn't endorse it. It's different than actively not, and people don't understand that because it's all gotten swept up into the political mumbo jumbo.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you know, I mean, everything said by any politician, I'm still pretty much in awe of the American government. I mean, man, the American government is crazy and insane, but I mean, in a good way. My God, look at what we do for kids and getting them into school. And I mean, man, our government's awesome, and yet we have all these politicians hijacking it, using this wonderful tool of government as weapons. And I mean, they're gutting us right now. They are ripping us apart.
It's true. It's all just to maintain the power. My mom, of all people, sent me a brilliant video essay on the psychology of envy, basically, and how that's what our society is right now. And it's the people who have everything they want who are using envy as a tool to pit us against each other, and always keeping us thinking that someone else has something we want. That's really the crux of the social justice movement right now. It's not a movement based on justice at all. It's a movement based on this idea of envy, of someone else having something that you don't and that you somehow want. And really, it's not even started by the disenfranchised minorities. It's started by the privileged white people who are going to their liberal arts schools who are envious of the minority people because they look at them and say, oh, you get a pass because you're oppressed and you're this. And they so badly want to be oppressed in their demented little minds. They've created their own new version of how oppressed they are. They're creating new ways to be oppressed because they can't face the fact that no, there is no reason why you're a complete burnout loser who's done nothing with your life aside from the fact that you have no motivation. Like, you can't blame anyone else for this, but that's what people want to do. It's unfortunately, it's the fault of my generation. You can blame the boomers if you want and say, oh, they set us up in a certain way. But everyone to an extent is a product of their own generation. So you can't fault. I hate the okay boomer and this hate on the previous generation for me, because I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. You know, yeah, you're talking about a generation that came at a very optimistic, we can change the world time, born out of all of the confusion and misery that was the World War II and the Great Depression before that, to kids whose parents just wanted to give them a better life, and where there was opportunity, where my dad can work a summer job and pay for an entire year of college tuition off of 8 weeks of work. And they grew up feeling this bounty, having so much more than many of their parents had, and wanting to give that to us and making us feel like the world is available for me and my generation the way it was for them. And then so many people in my generation, unfortunately, coming from, parents who instilled that optimism in us the second we hit the first roadblock, instead of getting over it, because that was one of the things a lot of our parents didn't give us the tools for, was overcoming adversity, because the adversity of our lifetime didn't look the same as the adversity of their lifetime. So the tools that they've given us weren't the right tools. And so instead of building our own tools and finding our own ways, which some of us have done, most of them just hit that wall, collapsed into a heap, and started crying and sucking their goddamn thumbs. And because we're the connected generation who can just text mommy and daddy the second you're miserable at college, and they pick me up or call me or do this or do that or send me this or send me that. They never had that, that forced, that there was a lot of failure to launch. They never had that forced, I got to figure out how to do this for myself. No one ever cut those ties for them. So where college is supposed to be that training wheels period where you kind of learn how to do shit on your own, where you learn how to pick yourself back up. No one was doing that. And suddenly the ties were cut. And that's why all the kids in my generation moved the fuck back home, because they hadn't figured out how to take the fuck care of themselves. So that's,
I guess I largely agree with that. I mean, although I do kind of think, I don't know. I don't think it's that you can't sort of blame out to other people. I mean, let's say my parents gave me some problems, but what you do have to recognize, you know what? They're my problems.
Exactly.
I'm the one who has to deal with it.
Exactly.
I don't know. I tried to raise my kids a little bit differently. So fortunately, I haven't really seen too much out of them. They actually, I don't know, they're better taking care of themselves than I am me taking care of myself, honestly. They're amazing. I can't believe how good they are. But yeah, I don't know, man. I saw my job with them as just, these are little human beings, and they're going to be in my care for almost 20 years. But hopefully they're going to be under their own care for another 60 years after that or so.
Exactly.
So they need to figure out how to live without me.
Exactly. It can't all be, Dad, do this, fix this, take care of this for me. There's got to be a point where it's like, you're all right. I gave you all the tools. Time to do it yourself.
Yeah, there you go. And I mean, you're like, hey, look, I'll run alongside your bike for a little while. I'll help you to take on or put on or take off the training wheels, whatever. I mean, you got to be there for them, but you can't do it for them. And boy, I do think that's probably one of the things that, the younger generation is facing is, boy, a lot of them don't seem to know anything. I mean, they get their first job and you have to, go do this. Okay. And
you're fucking useless. The basic marketable skills. I mean, I worked in catering when I came out here for the first year, and some of the stupidest fucking people, people about my age, who it was fucking rocket science to put the smaller fork on the outside. Like, it's not that fucking hard, and shit like that. To do it. Oh well, this other place we did it this way. Yeah, well, this place is telling you to do it a different way. So fucking do it. Be adaptable. There's very little adaptability. That's I will say. There's very little adaptability in my generation. Now you have the goods and bads though, because you have. I think my generation is incredibly entitled. They don't like to listen to anybody else's, what anyone else says. They don't like to take a lot of agency. But then you get the ones that do. And, so then we became the generation of the startup. How many people from my generation were able to do that successfully? And so it's like, there's the good and the bad. Like, okay, well, that's what we gave. We gave this while we had a lot of this floundering and a lot of this blame and a lot of this talking without action. I think it really is, unfortunately, a characterization of my generation is a lot of talk and very little action, where I think...
I will tell you, that was my generation too. Mm-hmm. I mean, there were a lot of people speaking up. I mean, hell, I was one of them, and yet, boy, it didn't go anywhere.
Well, I think you've seen that. I think we had this huge upheaval, in the 60s with all this actual action, with people taking to the streets and marching, and it bled into the 70s with the anti-Vietnam protests to an extent. And then you had kind of like these good times in a sense, where people just
I grew up in the 80s. The 80s were awesome. I mean, you worried about nuclear war a little bit, but man, there was money everywhere. There was resources everywhere. It was,
there was a lot of
it was a fun time to live. I mean, it was obviously not a good one, seeing as where it's led us to, but it was fun.
Sure. And I think the problem I have is some people want to look at that time and blame people who are proud of that time for, oh, you didn't give us the tools to see. Well, how would you? People coming of age in that era, people getting ready. My parents through the 80s was the time when they were getting ready to let's have a family. Their first kid was 88. I was 90. So they're coming from, they've lived through, my mom's older. She was a teenager in the 60s. That was her coming of age era. So she kind of saw all that stuff. My dad was a little bit younger, but came through a lot of that stuff, and they're getting to be adults in their 30s and all that in the 80s. What a great time to be alive! What a great time to have kids! And you see all this stuff. There's no way to predict the future. There's no way to predict the rising competitiveness for education, the rising cost for education, all of these things that then happen in my lifetime when my parents decided, hey, it's a great time to have kids and this is the values we're going to give them. There was no way for them to predict the obstacles that I would have to face and how different they would look from the ones they had to face. And I think there's a lot of, that's part of like this whole okay boomer and this desire to blame and shame the previous generation, I think really speaks to my generation's inability to take ownership. But I will say I was encouraged.
I think that's just an American problem, honestly. I don't see any generation taking very much ownership.
That's very true, too. I think that's very, very true. And that absolutely. I think it's a very American, in a lot of ways, human trait. And I always go back to social media to kind of blame for that, which is, it used to be most people were forced to have a reckoning at some point in their lives. Most people at some point had to face not having friends, not being in their comfort zone, even not like in a terrible way, oh, they were unpopular or this or that, being in a new environment where they didn't know anybody, being someplace uncomfortable, being someplace where they weren't the top of the food chain. And in those situations, for the majority of us, it became an opportunity, and for all the generations prior to the rise of social media, it became an opportunity to be introspective. Not everyone took it. Still, there were plenty of people who'd rather offload the blame somewhere else. But more people than now, I think, found those opportunities, faced down those moments of self-reflection, and used them as an opportunity to grow. That's the moment where you realize, I'm the star of my world, but everyone else I bump into is the star of their own. And they have the same needs and wants and problems and concerns. And even though I may cross paths with them very briefly, this interaction, understanding what my interaction, what effects it's going to have, and that's where you let go of certain things. Like if I talk a little too loudly in public, I'm never going to see that family again. I don't give a shit what they think about me, versus other things like, oh, this woman dropped her hair scrunchie and I don't give a shit. But if I pick it up, it may make her whole day. Because maybe she really needs that scrunchie. She's going to a dance class later or something, and she's able to hold her hair up. So it's little things like that where you gain that perspective and you start you let go of shit that doesn't need to bother you, and you start having this greater concern for the people around you. And social media has just allowed us to tighten that bubble, to never let it burst and see the world around us, to never have to be concerned more than anybody than our own selves. I think it's healthy to put yourself first. There are individual moments in your day or in your life where putting someone else's needs before your own is very healthy. And people are never asked to do that anymore. And I think it's also why you hear young people complain about dating so much today, because it's the same thing. All of a sudden you're in a relationship and this person, the second someone's not 100% compatible, oh, I filled out this survey on this fucking dating app and you filled out this survey on this dating app, we should be perfect. And the second you find out, oh, you like noodles better than rice, fuck, this relationship's over. It's like, I'll just go find someone better. Really? Because this person was literally perfect because they liked rice better than noodles or vice versa. And so you ditch the whole thing out of that and spend the rest of your life complaining because you can never find anyone because your standards are too fucking high. So.
Yeah. I mean, it is a complete lack. I mean, what's funny is with Pale Blue Dot, I would like to remove a lot of the adversity in life. Yeah. And yet, on the other hand, that is one thing very important to recognize. adversity breeds character. You need to get yourself smacked down sometimes. You need to run into brick walls sometimes so you can really start, oh, wow, hey, I could go over, I could go under, maybe I can go around, maybe there's a different tool I can go through instead of using my head and giving myself brain damage eventually.
Exactly. But the cool thing about, Pale Blue Dot is that this idea basically, and what I think is important and what more people need to face is, living on a floating island in relative isolation from the world is going to present certain of its own challenges. And a lot of those challenges are those very visceral, man versus nature ones that I think that we learn a lot more about. That's when we learn about ourselves. That's when we learn about what you're willing to do, what you're able to do. When your problems are, will we grow enough food? Will we be able to handle justice in our society? Will we be able to weather this giant storm that brewed up in the past hour? These kinds of much more, and realizing also in some of those issues that you're not going to be able to do it yourself, that you do need to rely on your community to overcome those issues. And so I think that sets you up for human growth in a way that's very different than the adversities that, that we label, jokingly as first world problems, but really are, they really are.
I mean, it's existential problems. I mean, if you're sitting there and you live in a cave and you're scrounging for your food every day and scrounging to find some kind of warm clothing and protect yourself against those saber-toothed tigers, you're not really sitting there thinking, boy, what's this all mean? You're busy reacting.
Exactly.
While we find ourselves in a society like this, and you need to be available to do these 8 hours of work, but then you have these 8 hours where you're kind of on your own and stuck more in your thoughts because you're not having to worry about getting pounced by the saber tooth or whatever,
And in some cases, that's great because we develop that higher thinking, and in some cases, it's terrible because we become our own worst enemies. We create problems because we have nothing better to do.
Yes. So. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And that I don't know. I mean, I think that's one of the things that kind of frustrates me with modern leadership. It's going to create this problem, but then we can zoom on in and make more money by solving that problem too, and it's like, hey, man, life's hard enough as it is without us creating our own problems. I mean, as you pointed out, if, we do this, if I can actually pull together Pale Blue Dot, and I mean, whether it's 50 people or 10,000 doing it, the reality is, can we get ourselves fed every day and get a system set up where we make sure everybody gets fed every day? And damn, where was I going with that now?
Because I was going to ask you too, there's a, but one of the, what was I looking at? The basic, it was something had written to me before when you sent me the, the refresher, and it was some new thoughts that you had in there too of, about the balance of like the liberal socialism element of this, with basic, which I love as well, and it comes back to that question of like, if we create a society, we can create a society on there. And actually there are elements of it. It's funny we talked about, the cow in New Zealand earlier. There are elements of this and that remind me a lot of New Zealand. New Zealand lacks certain problems that the rest of the world has by being a very small nation that is fairly homogenous and has access to direct democracy. When they want to decide whether to legalize gay marriage or give women the right to vote, the whole country votes, and whatever the country says, they go with. And they also, because of their sort of low population density and the sort of ease and slow pace of life there's this very live and let live attitude that's sprung up, where even if you talk to the majority of the European settlers are Catholic in origin, who, as we know, Catholics have very specific views on what is and is not okay and what is and is not moral. But I was in the country just before they took this vote to legalize gay marriage, and I was talking to a few Catholic people who personally were very against it, and they said, and this was sort of their sense of what a lot of their friends and neighbors felt, was, we just won't vote. It doesn't affect my life. I don't want it. I wouldn't condone it for myself or my family members or people that I know. But at the end of the day, someone else going off and doing it doesn't hurt me. It doesn't affect my life. So why am I going to deny someone else that freedom just because it's a lifestyle choice I personally wouldn't make? And that live and let live attitude. And it's something that, unfortunately is very hard to attain in a country as big as ours and as diverse as ours. And not just diverse in terms of, ethnic background and stuff like that, but just we have so many different micro economies, so many different micro industries that it is impossible. It is almost impossible to have a central form of governance that works for everybody.
No, it really is. I mean, when I grew up, my parents moved around all the time. I lived from Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas to Honolulu, Hawaii. And, it's hard to get more conservative than Fort Worth. It's hard to get more liberal than Honolulu, Hawaii. I grew up, all kinds of places in between too, Colorado and New Mexico, California. Just all over. And every place you went, it was a complete different style of governance. There was a broad range between people. Some places were really very prejudiced and very judgmental, and other places. Hawaii was wonderful. That was one of the greatest places I've ever lived because nobody really cared too much.
Yeah.
The only people that really seemed to have trouble were racists. And otherwise, man, it was live aloha.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's Polynesian cultures are very relaxed. It's nice. It's like the Polynesian attitude is one thing it's very common to a lot of indigenous people too, of just sort of this idea of like living in harmony with the land and trusting that nature provides, which is something that, again, a lot of indigenous people have, but Polynesian, I think probably just because of the number of people on the islands already before the white man came. And so there's still a balance. Even the Maori, who have dwindled greatly, a lot of that attitude, a lot of that way of life still pervades, New Zealand culture. There's a mixing that's happened in a lot of Polynesian islands that hasn't happened. Whereas like here, Native Americans have been very sequestered and secluded. Australia, it's the same with the Aborigines. A lot of other places you go, the indigenous population is very removed from the rest of the climate. And I think in Hawaii, in New Zealand, and certain other Polynesian islands, there's that way of life, that relaxed, in tune with nature way of life that also tends to that slowed down pace that tends to come with a hotter climate, has pervaded the general, and that's pervaded the, I read somewhere too, it's like in hotter climates, people are less likely to be on time. So moving to LA was perfect for me as someone who struggles chronically with punctuality. No one's on time here, but the way the pace
me too.
of life, right?
Yeah, no, Hawaii was perfect for that, man. Perfect. We went into this place. We lived on Maui for a while too, a little town called Lahaina, and there's a little local shop, the Maui Monkey. This little guy had shaka and party on, and it's just this little stuffed animal, and we went in shortly before Christmas. We're looking for some presents for our kids and stuff, and wander into this place and get talking to the owners, and ended up buying one for our kids and one for our friends back on the mainland. And so anyway, while we're talking to the owners, they're like, oh yeah, next month we'll be moving into this place right down the way, and telling us about their plans and everything. And it's 3 or 4 months later, we get back through that little area, and they're still in the exact same shop, and you can see there's some progress down the way that they've got a little bit of it done, but they hadn't gotten moved yet. And I was just like, oh, this is so perfect for me. This is my speed, because I'm either go or
Slow.
Dead on the floor.
I'm kind of the same. I tend to like I end up in the middle on a lot of things just because I'm a balance of the two extremes. You know, are you really high energy or really low energy? I don't know, somewhere in between. Are you extroverted or introverted? I'm really, really social, but I also hate everyone. I don't know. That's what I always get back to. I'm either the world's most socially adjusted introvert or the world's most antisocial extrovert. It's one of the two. I'm still never sure.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just like, imagine a total introvert with zero social anxiety. That's me. I don't really want to talk to you, but I'm really good at it anyway. So.
Yeah, not me. I hide in my bedroom, my office.
That's why live streams are great, because it's like it's like you're there and I can talk to you and it's very pleasant. And then when it's over, there's no like, okay, time to leave my house now. It's just bye. Snap the laptop.
Fuck off.
I might not even. Well, actually, I could say I might not even be wearing pants right now, but you also already saw me go up and fix the cat stuff. So. I usually wear pants on live streams in case I need to leap up suddenly. But whether or not I wear, but the question, and anyone is always invited to comment on one of the videos as to guess whether or not I was wearing pants when I shot it. I wouldn't even remember. If I went back to watch all my videos, I wouldn't even remember which ones were pants and which ones were pantsless.
Right.
Typically,
just you doing the recording for the day. Who cares?
Exactly.
Live streams are a little different.
Streams are different. Recordings have a lot of control before that shit goes live. But that's actually, I think the rule of thumb is if I ask during my video, if I ask the audience to guess if I'm wearing pants, it's usually because I'm not wearing pants.
Yeah, it was funny, actually. My kids were like, maybe you shouldn't stand up because, I'm wearing like SpongeBob cutoffs right now. So
I'm wearing my Hawaiian print pajama shorts. So, it's sitting with me.
See, it's island life.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, Pancake, hello to my audience. How is everyone doing tonight? I'm just a cat. I'm just a sleepy cat. I'd like Mom to stop talking to you so she can talk to me. And by talk to me, I mean just pat me and give me dinner. Good night. That's little Pancake. He's going to have his own channel soon. He's going to be a famous cat. Yeah, I guess so. I guess I'll be a star or something. Still not sure what a star
I don't know. It doesn't look grumpy enough.
I'm not a grumpy cat. I'm just a Pancake. I'm just the world's cutest cat. Not for kids. For sure not for kids. Not sure why I'm not for kids, but Mom and Dad says I'm not for kids because I'm just not appropriate. I'm not sure what appropriate means, but I'll figure it out one day. Yes, I will.
Is it a he or a she?
That's a he.
He? Okay. I guess if it ever has kittens, what, you got to name them after like syrup, I guess? Or?
Well, unfortunately, kittens are not in his future, so he's already had the schnurp. Unfortunately,
that's I don't know. That's not such a bad thing. There's way too many stray cats as is.
And he's an indoor cat. Indoor boys do start to mark and spray after not that usually within the first year, which is something that Anna is contending with because, to my knowledge, she still has not gotten Ziggy snipped. So Anna's got her two Persian Ziggy and Stardust, who are deaf. And assholes, but that's kind of all cats. So
that's a cat's job, yeah. That's why I like them.
He's not an asshole. You finally done? Goodness, Jeff has finally done the High Council. Yeah. So, you're having. Are you going to pop in for a little bit?
I planned on.
Okay, yay.
I was just going to go.
Do your business, and we'll. It's been long enough. We'll reintroduce this the Pale Blue Dot. And we'll get your thoughts on it too. But Jeff's just. Not Blue Giant. No, we don't speak of Blue Giant. Blue Giant is our worst failures. A couple. Speaking, where you going? Papa's gonna come back. It's okay. Here should be a cake. Oh my God! There he goes. The other
no chance.
The other three are just heaped together on Box Mountain. So Jeff's finished. He's got all of his boxes of his comic here, and
nice.
The graphic novel. So for those who haven't seen the new print. Because I don't know if you've heard any of all this stuff, but basically his first printing, he went to a company that was supposed to fulfill it for him. Not only did they ship it in really just not, they just like put a plastic, like put a shipping label on the back and didn't even put it in plastic or anything. So when people's copies got damaged, also the printing quality was dog shit. So he had to get his money, fight them to get his money back, and then found these new people who are awesome, did new cover and all that. So if y'all back Solo, you'll be getting this in the mail in the next few weeks is the idea. And if you didn't, there'll be a new opportunity to back it coming up really soon.
You plugging the comic?
Yeah, I just happened to be here. I was talking about the cats on Box Mountain. I was explaining why we have a Box Mountain.
Oh, she'd be
got to jump on every opportunity.
Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate it. It's nice to come in to join my girlfriend's stream, and she's plugging in my book. So
I'm going to redo our format here a little bit so that we'll be able to see all three of us.
Everybody.
So Jeff, Rick, Jeff.
Hi, Rick. Nice to meet you, man.
Hey, Jeff, how's it going, man?
It's going. It was a long-ass stream, but I'm happy to be here, and I love doing what we do.
Yay. That's a good counsel?
Good counsel. Good. We got, you know what? We'll talk later. This is your show.
I'm excited. Well, so the topic at hand, well, we've been meandering to many topics because turns out Rick and I have a lot of common ground. Not turns out, we kind of knew that. That's one of the reasons we got along in the first place. But we've been talking about this pale blue dot. So for anyone joining us who's not familiar, and for Jeff, if you want to just run down the idea of the pale blue dot equation for Jeff and everyone else.
Yeah, so the basic idea, man, we got tons and tons of plastic floating around out in the ocean. At some point, I saw that some guy had actually built a small island out of, there you go, out of plastics. Everything underneath there is plastic. I think he's got it in kind of like nets to hold it together. He does have to go in periodically and change it out. So, stuff does degrade. Anyway, so I kind of came across this. I've always kind of wanted my own island anyway, because I'm an introvert. And at some point, I just started thinking, what more could I do with this? What more could we do with this? And, like I said, there's a lot of plastic in the ocean. I get a, work crew. Boy, we could actually start building this into a pretty large island. And, once you do that, and have the right amount of people and a little bit of the things you need, man, you could sail out into international waters and actually form your own nation out of this thing and start trying to catch humans up into the modern age, basically. Set up a scientocracy. Jesse and I talked about this a little bit earlier, which is basically a government that's informed by knowledge. I think one of the big problems in America and certain other nations, a lot of times it's a certain politician's opinions that are trying to guide everything. And, that's just a recipe for disaster if you're dealing with a nation this size, especially. There's too many people that need too many different things, too many people that feel polar opposite about issues. And, that's just going to keep us fighting forever until we really do ruin the earth and tip it, put it past the tipping point and can't come back from it. And so anyway, I was thinking, we put these islands together, create a scientocracy, open up a lot of the free land to scientists. One of the big problems right now is it's hard for a lot of scientists to find a good space to do their experiments, to find a cheap enough space, or I don't know. Anyway, it's the first time I'm talking about it right now.
Well, exciting. Well, you've written it down very concisely, so that's I've read it. I've read through the information a lot, so it's very, very well compiled. I know it's a totally different beast. Having like, all right, pitch it now.
Yeah, the elevator pitch always throws me off too.
Right?
If you ask me to describe anything in like 10 seconds, I'm like,
good stuff.
Right.
I worked forever to get my log line. I still stumble across it, my log line for my screenplay. But But now it's tough, but it's important.
That's
it's
going to be a really
important.
good movie.
Thank you. I'm excited for it. I was thinking about that earlier. I don't know if I've told you about it. I'll pitch you my log. I'll read the super chat. I'll pitch you my log line. Rosetta Allen says, still raging deer until high from the band one. Suspended on Twitter again. She doesn't know why, but it's saying she's logged into another account, so it won't let her appeal it. She's like, suspended account where you can appeal this, but she is logged into that account, so she's getting dicked by Twitter too.
Twitter, there might be something else going on too, because I got a notification today about random logins, and I asked the guys, and they're like, no. So, by the way, chat,
a lot of my friends have actually been getting their accounts hacked into recently, so maybe there's
a hacker going around.
I wonder how
I've seen a lot of my friends on social media complaining.
Dude, I don't know if you ever use Facebook, but their messenger app, not messenger app, the Facebook app is broken on Android phones. Your newest notifications are so scrolled up that you can't look at them anymore. So it's like, why even use Facebook right now?
So dumb.
I thought.
I saw a post about that. You can't see who the message is from, right? Yeah.
I was like, did I do something wrong with my phone? I've been out of town. Did I drop it or something? No.
Nope. It's just broken. The internet is broken. Man. One of the really cool things that I loved reading about on this project is how much good it can do for other communities and whatnot. You point out, a great place to build to start creating one of these things is somewhere here like Southern California, and when you're doing that, you're creating a bunch of jobs for people. And let's say that, and a lot of those jobs involve things, okay, we're building this out of trash. So we might be pulling trash out of landfills, which is then creating skills for people, scavenging in landfills, all these skills that maybe your homeless population or your out of work population, migrant population can be helpful for. And now you're creating certain skills, building skills, repurposing skills that could be useful in a disaster situation. So people in the community now who don't end up setting sail with the island when it's done may now be in a situation where they can offer their skills during natural disasters. You can create a task force essentially that it's maybe people who are working as private contractors, so you can call up as your extras to do work on a cleanup, work on a construction site, all sorts of lower skilled jobs that other people don't necessarily want to do. Like if you're working in construction, you don't necessarily want to be the guy who hauls lumber or something like that. But you know enough now about wood to know what a 2x4 is and to distinguish from different sizes. And therefore now you can, do these new jobs and stuff. Is a really interesting
Every time I hear stuff like this, it makes me realize that the social skills I have wouldn't equate to like these scenarios. I'm like, I know what things are. I'm not unhandy, but I also be like, I need a crash course before we have we golf on our own, because it would be fun.
Well,
this ain't the Swiss Family Robinson. We're not.
Sure, but I mean, if you were on a community like you could be, I mean, someone has to. There has to be entertainment. You could run the radio channel
also
for the island.
I love that. Also, could bring like when we're building shit, help carry.
Well, you can help carry things.
I would just say that more of a joking.
Sure.
I just realized how if the zombie apocalypse happened, like, yeah. Give me a gun, give me an afternoon. I can figure out how to protect myself within reason. I'm not, Sean Firefart, so but like, I don't know what to do. I'm glad we live in the society we live in now. Where,
Oh yes.
Right. Yeah. A lot of the idea with Pale Blue Dot was to, I don't know how you'd say that. I mean, kind of fold back into itself, sort of, or ripple outwards. Like as you mentioned, there was one part where I was talking about maybe we could get some of the homeless population or other folks who are out of work or something, excavating landfills. For one, that would help us to get some of the materials we need. That would also, of course, from what I understand, we're doing very little with recycling now. But boy, if we were doing that, that would give us the chance. One of many problems I understand right now is, I mean, we have no place to put our trash right now. Our landfills are clogged up. There's no more land for us to really, accessible land for us to get to dump our trash off and all. So I mean, so doing something like that where if we did have people, I mean, they're excavating for us. We're also starting to actually get some of the recycling issues hammered out, but then we're also creating new space in the old landfills this way as well. So yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I think we've really gotten away from, particularly here in America, is one hand doesn't wash the other hand anymore. It's all got to be, no, this one's got to do with, and it's like, I mean, the reason our ancestors banded up way, way, way back in the day is because survival is really hard, and we could get a lot farther at it as a community if we all ride off of each other's coattails.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you get a lot more that way than you do if you're just out, picking your berries or killing mammoths or whatever you're doing every day.
Exactly. I think it's a great point you make too, is that damn it, I just lost my point. But you're saying about coming together and needing people to do those things, and I forgot what it was about now. But it was a good point. Whatever it was.
I'm catching. I'm so sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
The Rick virus. No.
I do want to say I did see Zoe in the chat. I know I never called you back. The next day got away from us and
was she the
stuff.
One
She's the one who called me where she left me the message, and I was like, "I'll call you tomorrow."
And then I thought it was your friend that got us drunk on those super chats. That's why I got confused.
No,
because I was like, "Oh, of course we messed up the next day, lady."
Zoe, if I don't get to you tomorrow, I should be able to make time on Thursday. But tomorrow, for those who don't know, we got the matriarchy in the afternoon at 2:00 with me and Anna. It'll be on this channel, and then per Flaming TP, Jeff and I are going to embark on our drunk Street Fighter watch stream.
I am so excited to tell you my history with this film.
I'm so excited to hear it.
I'll make you a deal. I will be on your stream tomorrow. We'll drink. We'll have a good time. When it comes time for Mortal Kombat, you owe me one.
All right, turnabout fair play. So tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, Jeff and I will be embarking on this drunk Street Fighter journey. So y'all are welcome to rejoin us. Tonight is our serious topics about how we're fixing the world, and tomorrow we're just going to drunk off our asses and watch a bad movie.
One thing, you're talking about how to fix certain things in the world. I find it interesting, coming from Ohio just a few months ago, then coming to California, outside of coronavirus and all this shit, just seeing how certain tasks are handled differently in different parts of the country, it would make me wonder, like, I always love looking at dystopian future stuff to see how they handle things. Like Back to the Future makes fun of it, like, all our garbage is laser discs and printer paper. And then you have Blade Runner that has, a darker tone and a little more realism in certain things. I always love to look at stuff like this and think of, like, how I would, how it would really affect us in the real world compared to, like, just being a book or just being whatever. And if those things could be implemented, because we're running out of space. We're running out of, like, Rumpke Dump is a huge dump where I live. It's now in the middle of the suburbs because when they built it, it was in the middle of nowhere. And we have so many people and so many population issues. Like Aunt Pat doesn't look too far from the big dump, just further up the highway. So it makes me wonder what the future of all this stuff is.
There was one like down the street from where I grew up. But there was always because they would burn there. Like when there was always a thing. Wasn't quite close enough to affect right where I lived, but it was like literally down. You know where we took the long walk with the dogs, that big circle down the hill and up the hill. Yeah. Down that hill, if you just kept going just a tiny bit more and like turned down a long driveway, it was right there. Yeah. But
that was a sign you knew you were in the country with people that I knew because they burn all their garbage. Like I got to people's houses in Indiana. Do they have a garbage can and a delivery service or a garbage pickup service? No, they have a hole. So like that place I went to with Phil, they burn their garbage. Take your mattress. Take this. Take that. Take your government documents.
So Donkeysaurus Rex will address this question in a second. Will be a mobile settlement or mostly sit in one spot. I'm going to read these couple of super chats, especially because one is a good night one, so I don't want to miss her. Greg Serby says, just send the trash to the sun in a shipping container.
By the way, Greg, sure. I love your icon.
Totally. Rosetta Alice says, good night, sweethearts. I love you also. We love you too, Rosetta.
Night, Rosetta. Thank you.
She's working hard, so get some good sleep tonight. James Hancock says, your plan is grand in scope and worthy of accomplishment, Mr. Foreman. I'm happy to hear discussions about real problems and possibly some answers. Thank you, James Hancock. Thank you for that super chat. That's exactly why I wanted to have this stream, and I've been meaning to set this up with Rick for a long, long time now, and I'm glad feels like the perfect time for me, where a lot of things, I just had some burnout, a little while ago, doing some family issues and all this stuff. So to come and actually talk about solutions and positivity.
You've been excited about this for the last couple of days.
I have been. I've been really excited about this.
Friday night, technically.
Yeah.
We've been talking about this at least once a day.
This is true. You're saying I got to make sure I go read up all my stuff, and
that's what today was.
I mean, you were
laser focused.
It was.
I mean, it's a strangely unique opportunity. I mean, if you think about it, it's an opportunity that really hasn't been afforded to humans in a long time. This is actually a chance to set up new ground, a new place. There's no indigenous population that we're going to have to displace to do this.
Yeah.
There's, we're not going to be ruining, I mean, I don't know, old sacred sites. We're not going to be
protected land. You're not taking land away from, animals or farming or anything else. You're just, you're doing that. And we talked earlier too about, the opportunities you have for anthropology, studying, civilization and governance, and studying the world's first, scientocracy, studying.
I do think looking at it as a big experiment is definitely the right thing to do. I mean,
you just I loved one of the things you put in in your description, where you talked about just the opportunity to study marine life, the opportunity to create a sort of ethical sea world, in the sense of have a large area, a tank effectively, where wildlife can just swim in and out and can come there because dolphins are intelligent, naturally curious creatures, killer whales, animals like this that would want to come and explore what's going on here, that would learn to have a positive relationship with humans, that we could both learn from each other in that way. We
don't have to cage them up that way, but we can also actually start developing our communication skills with each other.
Exactly. Your school of dolphins pass by, a few pop in, they want to play around.
What?
Dolphins. School dolphins. I was streaming a little bit earlier. He was showing himself off. Yes, Chupancake thinks that endorphins are dolphins and that they are similar to dolphins. He's a very
Chupancake. What sound does a dolphin make?
They go, ah!
Look at
you gotta do Andy McDowell from Hudson Hawk. I can't even do it.
Have you seen that movie?
My voice doesn't get that high.
We'll watch it. It's unique.
I'm excited for that. But it's just, and then the obvious marine biology effects, oceanography, all that stuff. So someone was asking about mobility. We talked about that earlier, about you have the opportunity to park it someplace on the solar equator where you're always going to get good sun for growing. But then something else you mentioned too, especially if you have multiple smaller, more mobile sites set up in different places, that you do have a mobility opportunity for something that's really, you brought up, what if we had these, during a tsunami? What if we had them during oil spills, during times where you can get quickly and efficiently someplace and have a team of people with experience repurposing trash, with experience cleaning up the ocean, and with the knowledge of how these things affect the ecosystem, to be right there on site. Also this place, you have a piece of land too, that if it's not overcrowded can operate as temporary housing for if you're not at capacity. If that's one of your issues, you zoom in one with just a skeleton crew and you bring it in as temporary housing for people. What an opportunity that would have been just for the coronavirus with the now you've got these cruise ships parked offshore. Okay, what if now you have an ability to separate the symptomatic people from the asymptomatic without bringing anybody on shore, and create a triage system that way that keeps people separate but still healthy. So it's a lot of different. It brings up a lot of possibilities, a lot of ideas. You bring to mind things like the International Space Station, how effectively that works as a place of international peace. You mentioned Antarctica as a place that's purely devoted to scientific research. So we have precedents to say that an international body can come together and sponsor or support something like this, a multinational endeavor, purely for the benefit of the scientific community. So it's not without precedence, and it's not without. And again, as you detailed already in so many, even in for all you talk about needing experts to figure out the minutia, you've covered so much of the ground, you've solved so many of the initial problems, and you've considered so many of the angles, that it really just it's not. And as you point out, the scope is endless, but the beginning is very low energy. One guy did this with a home. One person was able to build a whole home on one of these. What could 10 people do? What could 100 people do? So.
Yeah, exactly. Very low cost.
Yeah.
You're almost just looking at labor, making sure they have some place to sleep, a little bit of food and fresh water. And hey, you really have what you need. We could do this with next to nothing. On the other hand, I don't know. I've one of the things I debate back and forth myself a lot here. Do I try to do this as a DIY / grassroots kind of thing? Or, or do we, I don't know, try and talk to Elon Musk or Bill Gates or something like that? And,
I'd say that's because either you retain a lot of control, but perhaps lose out on the scope, or you risk bringing in an influence who may have their own personal end goal
agendas. Yes,
exactly. And how do you balance? How do you balance those two?
Well, I think now grassroots approaches are really great. You look at what Ethan did. You plugged my book. You could do that, and then later on you would bring in a guy, because that way it's your thing. You've built it. And then you would attract a lot of people, because you may attract a different person that might be even at a better fit than an Elon Musk or Bill Gates. There might be some other venture capitalist or some other scientist or somebody that sees the value. Or what if like a random country, I don't know, Sweden or somebody, saw value in this experiment and would sponsor it. That way, you for the scientific approach, you might have a better pure output than if you have a business first model.
And also if
absolutely.
If you're able to get started and get enough momentum as grassroots, then you're also not in a position to solicit donations without actually offering higher involvement. We have this thing, we have our infrastructure, we have our people in charge, our people who run this, they're competent, they're good at what they do. We don't need your expertise. We just need your money, your materials, your, whatever, your platform, whatever it is, and be able to do it that way. And then also looking at things like, rather than just individual, billionaires, different scientific communities that would be interested in exploring this,
Yeah, I thought, the space, space, what am I trying to say here? Places like NASA or, if you look at it in a lot of ways where this is kind of an early precursor of what it might be like to really send people out to other planets.
Yeah.
Where they really, they're in a situation where, they got to figure out how to deal with emergencies on their own. They've got to, it's not just a matter of a quick drop shipping some stuff out. And, I actually thought the space exploration community could definitely have the potential to gain a lot of knowledge from something like this too. So,
absolutely. And that's
I really do think we could cover almost all the important stuff, really, especially by the end.
I think that's a great point too, is that there's a lot of different, the scientific, the spacefaring community would have a lot of interest in the sustainability elements. The environmental community would have a ton of a lot of interest in those on those parts as well. There's a lot of different interest groups that this serves, and really no one that it hurts. It doesn't. There's no negative. There's no drawback. It's the kind of thing too that, because of the sort of out there nature, both physically, and sort of as a spiral thought, doesn't register doesn't register to people who profit off of energy, who profit off of agriculture and things like that. Doesn't register to them as a threat until ideally it's too late, until you have solid evidence of these more sustainable systems. They don't even register. They don't try to kill it because they don't register as a threat to their way of life, until all of a sudden you have the evidence, you have the numbers, you have the physical, breath to say, hey, look at what we did.
Data and
exactly. We can do this here and here and here. We can do this in the Midwest. We can do this in the South, in the North, wherever, etc. And really be able to.
I think there's also interesting like entertainment applications.
Mm-hmm.
A live stream of it that people built. Not even like a fictionalized reality show thing. Just straight up cameras in specific places, and really connect this, because the world is so small.
Yeah.
We're all connected now. I just think that'd be a really fun thing to watch too. I mean, even if you needed like a sponsorship thing, Red Bull sponsors all kinds of crazy
sure
shit.
they do.
There are tons of
Right?
Red Bull
involved.
Sponsored that guy jumping from the highest.
And remember Red Bull,
height.
Red Bull Food Pug, when they would do those flying machines on the commercials.
God, yeah.
I used to love those commercials.
Funny.
Anyway, but I just think like that.
Yeah.
There's such an interesting application of that too.
But it's another great, fundraising thing. If you have an imbalance, so you create the Pale Blue Dot channel, right? And you have in each sector with a project going, you'll have like an ambassador from the channel. It's like, okay, this is your live streaming time, and you'll moderate. You're the science guy who's going to moderate and show people what you're setting up lab wise. You're the building guy who's going to do a stream and talk about what everyone's putting together behind you, what everyone's gathering here. Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of like entertainment. Like you said, someone's going to want to make a documentary on this for sure. Someone's going to want to document. Because I'm sure you'll have this like psychological community wanting to come in and do time lapse experiments. You have people shooting them, following those. People follow this with interest, and now it's like you create like a long-running TV series of reality TV series essentially. Let's check in to see how everyone's doing. Now you have the whole world is suddenly invested on an entertainment level in what's happening, is rooting for the success of this, and is inspired, to donate money towards the project and things like that. Yeah, I mean, it's really. There's a lot of it's really very limitless in its scope, which is what's kind of exciting about it.
By the way, Rick, I picked up a copy of your book on Amazon, so I'm excited to check it out.
Right on. Thank you much.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Yeah, I bought a copy on Kindle.
Oh, that's what I was grabbing. It's 99 cents on Kindle, guys. So it's really, I mean, you can all afford it pretty much. It's 99 cents for electronic copy. Here's the ridiculously long link right here. The link is also in the description. I'm also going to go back in the description. I'm going to post some links for Rick's social media, so you can contact him if you're interested in learning more, or saying like, hey, I have these marketable skills, I'd love to be a part of this.
I think this is really the perfect time for people to be talking about this. We're talking about a big shift in societal change in general.
It's true.
It's an alternative almost in many ways. It's even if you're just out there from a curious standpoint, if I wonder how this would work, it's something to get involved in, think about, be a part of, because it's a cool thing.
This is also the kind of thing where it's like, when the coronavirus, when we're past this, this would be the perfect time to launch it, because you're thinking about we have record unemployment due to, literally there not being jobs. And so to create a bunch of jobs, create a sense of hope, it kind of checks all the boxes for the kinds of things that I think people are going to be really passionate about once this all blows over. So,
I think so too. I mean, like I said, I mean, it's obviously time for some kind of change. And I really do think that we need to kind of step forward into the future and start, putting childish things away. I mean, if we want to have societies, we have to take care of the societies, and yet you do also have to find ways to, allow individuals their own freedoms, what they need. Because I mean, let's face it, Jeff Bezos's needs are different than yours and mine. If they were the same, I might have been in his position before him.
Exactly.
So I mean, we need to create a society where, I mean, hey, if you're one of those go-getters, you go get. And yet, if you're one of those that, want to take it a little slower and easier and just spend more time with your family or creating art or gardening or whatever the hell you want, damn it, you need to be able to do that too, And I do think we could create that kind of a society. I mean, not just in Pale Blue Dot. I think we could do that anywhere. Yeah. But we've got to start challenging some of our ideas, some of our notions. I mean, if you're going to live in a society, you have to give up some rights. I mean, you're going to get stuck in traffic.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's the problem that people don't like to acknowledge is that there is no such thing as, if you want pure and perfect freedom where nobody tells you what to do, you're asking for anarchy. And even in an anarchical system, even countries that have applied this idea of anarchy, still within those systems, people will create structure. Yeah. And if you elect, no one will force you to be part of it. But if you elect to join whatever structure has been built, you are expected to follow the rules of that structure. That's how society, works. Unless you're just living completely by yourself in a sustainable situation, all alone on your property, you are beholden to somebody else's, to society, and not necessarily in a bad way or in a, my freedom's way, but in a sense that, like, if you want the benefits of living around other people.
If you want the road, you need to kick in a few bucks every year in taxes.
Exactly. If you want all the benefits that come with living around other people, you have to understand you have to put something into that too. It's not society's job to just give you everything you need. You have to be giving something back to society. It's a give and take. People, people don't want to give. They want to just take. They would just expect that things should be given to them. And which is funny too, because then they want to point at everyone else who doesn't have something and say, why don't you work for it? But they don't want to work for it themselves. So it's like, quit pointing fingers and everyone just start doing something. Whatever it is, do what you want instead of telling everyone else how they should be doing it or what they shouldn't be doing.
Isn't that just the simplest solution that seems impossible to actually implement?
Right? Right? God, people would just rather be miserable than work sometimes, though.
It's true.
Yeah. I agree. I don't know. It's the world we live in. That's those existential. Wow, I'm having the worst time saying that tonight. That's our existential blues going on,
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. The thing we have time to sit and stew about because we're not busy putting our hands to work building this island. So that's
exactly.
I was going to talk because I think it was before you came in here talked about how, like, you pare down all those first world problems and you get to that visceral, man versus nature struggle for actual physical survival, which is something I've always really enjoyed about taking really long hikes in, wilderness and stuff. It's that, your day becomes the second you step out on that trail and you get deep into the woods, up on a mountain, something like that, everything is less important than I have to get back to my car alive. That's the only thing that matters. Once you do that, and I love the clarity that you got from that. I get from doing that. Once you get back to the car, there's the emails you didn't send and the work you didn't do and whatever time you have to wake up tomorrow and all that shit. But in that moment, in that period of time, all that matters is stay hydrated. Keep fueled up, rest, plan your day around putting enough steps behind you that the sun doesn't go down. And fucking living, and there's something.
I'm gonna puke.
Well, that's the only thing that you do hungover.
Yeah, the only time I've ever been hungover.
Oh God, but
let's
yeah.
not hike after Street Fighter this week.
So let's not. I'm totally cool with not going on a hike the day after a drunk stream like we did last time. That was terrible.
Woo!
We would do it.
I don't know. You're young. You can handle it. I'm not sure if I could anymore, but
my liver says otherwise. My liver is very displeased with the concept of being repeatedly flooded with alcohol. Turns out.
Did you say your liver is displeased or your liver is Swiss cheese?
Probably both. That's the thing. In regular years, though I may seem a baby, in drinking years I am rather old. So perhaps used up my drinking years more quickly than the average human. But what can I say? I started young. Started young.
I didn't even start young. I just went hard in the paint the entire time.
I did both of those
now
things.
I'm just kind of like,
And now it's less exciting. It's like drinks are tasty. A few of them sometimes.
I feel like an old man. I'm like, I'll just drink wine.
Right? I'll just drink my bottle of wine and think about how I crossed H.R. Pickens.
Who was H.R. Pickens?
Exactly. So we discovered. All right, everyone needs to do this now. You included, Rick, obviously not this second because we're talking, but y'all need to go look up Adam Driver SNL Career Day. It's definitely the funniest thing he's ever done. We've watched it 3 times now.
It is one of the best SNL skits
of all time.
Realistically,
ever
it's that
made.
good.
It's fucking ridiculous.
That other one we watched though, the Rosie the Riveter one,
oh god,
is really good. But H.R. Pickens
it's
is
just
up
another
here.
level. Fucking H.R. Pickens.
Don't even explain it outside of
All
Adam
right.
Driver comes to Career Day and his son's Pete Davidson, and that's all you need
That's
to know.
it. Just add gem. All you do is type in Adam Driver Career Day, and you'll find it, and it'll be magical, and you won't regret it.
You want to watch that for this?
Yes, for the second time today.
Yes.
We've decided we're going to watch it until we have just the entire thing memorized. It's
The funny thing is,
incredible.
we don't even pay attention to it, but we're so into it.
We're
that
so
we're
into
not
it,
even,
and we're
like,
fucking
studying
laughing
it.
the whole time too. It's oh my god. Zach Blackfire, we are quickly discovering that this is the case. Adam Driver does some pretty great.
I didn't realize how tall he was.
He's super freaking tall.
I mean, me saying that, I'm probably taller than him still, but I'm just looking at him compared to everybody on this show. I'm like,
He's
tiny.
Yes, he
It's
is
like
a very
walking
tall
around.
man. HR Pickens. Oh my God.
You are weak like HR Pickens. Just like the way that girl says it.
You are guys, if you haven't done so, press the like button. What I was looking for, since we're probably getting closer to our end, I was trying to see if we have our Mad Libs books handy, because I'd love to play, even though we've had a more, philosophical and serious stream. That doesn't mean we can't have some fun.
I
have any
think
idea
they
where...
might be under the table.
Oh, do we put them in the table? We might have put them in the table before we left.
Oh, I hope I did.
We might have. Hold on. I can't see anything. I can't see anything. Shit, Pancake was in here earlier like, asshole.
He's the winner.
He's the Warriors. Why do we even keep him around?
Because he's cute.
I guess. I suppose. Nope, they're not here.
I meant under the table where the Stealing Solos
okay.
are. I think they're down there.
Okay, let's check. Hold on, we're checking for Schmodlibs. Schmodlibs. That's Stealing Solo. That's also Stealing Solo.
There's a lot of Stealing
There's
Solos
some
under that
notebooks.
goddamn table.
Would they be under the Stealing Solos or on top of them or somewhere in between? I don't know where these things are.
Wait.
Did you
Is
finding
this-
something?
That's
Nope,
Iron
that's
Man
a journal. Talk
Thanks,
amongst
Mom.
yourself.
Do you use chronological order or alphabetical?
For what?
It's just whatever stacks the best at the moment.
we have no method. There is no method to the matter.
Hey, look.
Geological then.
Baby driver.
Oh, good. I don't think it's there.
And Elizabethtown.
Oh, I love that movie.
I will watch that with you since I lived not too far from there.
There's some more DVDs. No Mad Libs, but there's
Dr. Parnassus.
Imaginary Dr. Parnassus and Blade.
Abraham H. Parnassus.
Nope. Maybe. Could be if you want it to be. Okay, there's just more DVDs. I don't feel any Mad Libs down here. Where would they be?
Don't know.
Where could they be?
HR
I
Pickens.
don't know. I don't know. This is very distressing to me. I don't know what to do with my life. Do
Do you want me to pull up a Mad Lib online?
That's cheating.
Okay. I don't cheat because I crush my enemies.
You crushed them into the dust. Excuse me, Pancake.
Your
It's
turn to-
probably your fault.
Oh, Jesse, you know what I realized?
What?
Look what we forgot.
What is
That was that dessert we
Oh
ordered.
shit! It's melted.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Don't forget your cheesecake. They melt.
Yes.
Yeah.
They do.
Oh god. Okay. Let me see. This is wonderful. Everyone's watching me look for things. It's great.
We'll play our game. I'll randomly pull shit from the side. Look, a copy of It.
Yeah.
Look, a Star Wars book.
It's not over here. Checked.
You could start, where's Jesse?
Haha! Who knows? Whee! I still exist.
People click on the channel, they're like, this is mindless
Like,
entertainment.
there's two dudes here. None of them are Jeffrey. That
No.
we know of.
That'd be weird if I was also Jesse.
That would be really strange. That would be very possible.
That would make our lives miserable.
Weird. It would make it look very weird. Wait. Wait. Ow. Uh-huh. Ha-ha!
Yay!
Mad Libs.
Yes, the good Mad
I
Libs.
did. I found them. Ugh.
The dirty Mad Libs.
Oh my god. Okay. So,
Dirty Mad Lib time.
before we get into Mad Libs, Rick, was there anything more you wanted to cover tonight that we haven't gotten to?
Boy. Well, I don't know. I mean, there's still all kinds of stuff to talk about, but you know what? We have covered quite a bit. At least the main points, the main topics. So I think maybe the one thing I would definitely reiterate to your audience is I would love to talk about this with other people. So far I've been a little more like, the screenwriter, and it would be great to talk to the costumer and a director and the producer and all those different guys and start, getting some different ideas on different ideas that maybe I haven't thought of, that I haven't been exposed to. And like I said, I mean, I've got all kinds of questions since it's come up a couple of times. We've talking about maybe making these mobile, I would imagine there's got to be a math formula that I could figure out how fast something like this could travel, maybe. But boy, I have no idea how to do that. I write, I don't do math. So, anyway, yeah, I mean, I would love to talk to other experts, other people with other ideas, other people who would just be interested in trying something like this. I mean, I don't care if you're just adventurous at heart or if you're tired of the American system or whatever country you live in and you're tired of their system, because let's face it, politics are just kind of nasty no matter where you go.
Bro, you can't win in this climate. But you know who he would really, or who would like to talk to him? Channel Dad Brian Late. He's big into science. I think he would be. I'm going to send him your information.
So I'm going to post I'm also going to update this description here so that your Facebook, Pale Blue Dot Equation, so the Facebook group is up there. Do you want me to throw that email address that you'd given me in there as well?
Yeah, you can throw that one on there too.
All right. That way people want to just get in touch with you, talk about this with the author himself. Let me go fix this. Boop. So that's going to be all in the description. So you guys will be able to go back and check that at any point as well if you're interested in conversing more and throwing in your thoughts, expertise. And it's, again, such a great thing about this is how... Oh, crap. I never knew.
We could use people from all walks of life.
Exactly.
Your skin color, your sex, your gender identity, none of that matters. Your mind is what matters.
Yeah. And that's what I love about this is it's all about what do you bring to the table? What will each individual person, what skill set would they bring to the table? My dad's someone who would love to, implement his mathematical skills in stuff like that. When we were kids, he wanted to build a rabbit hutch for our bunnies to build so they could stay outside because he didn't want them to stay inside because he claimed he was allergic to them, even though that was totally made up. Whatever. Point is, my sister tested it once. She wasn't supposed to have the bunny in bed with her, but she did, and because hers eventually had something and lived inside for a little while, and he showed the bunny. She hid it under her blankets. My dad sat there for like an hour, read her bedtime story, and he never sneezed once. So whatever, Dad. The cat allergy might be legit, but your bunny one is totally made up. Like John Pickens.
I'm never gonna get tired of
Oh my god, it's so good. So so he went and he used freaking trigonometry to design an angled roof that'd be easy with a hinge on it, that'd be easy to lift up and down for us and all this stuff, and built it up off the ground and designed little winter hutches with insulation with a little tube they could go in and all this stuff. So people like that, he loved. I mean, this is the kind of thing like in his retirement he'd love to lend a mind to something like this when he ever retires. But
and as you've pointed out, I mean, you can go almost any direction with this. So yeah, I mean, I would love to talk to everybody, and
absolutely.
I know I always feel better about myself when I feel useful and like I'm doing something. And man, a lot of times in this environment that's going on right now, we're just kind of stuck spinning our wheels a lot of times, or at least I am. But,
yeah, absolutely. I think it's great to give people that purpose, give people something to do, but we'll also definitely have you back on here to talk more about this. And when I finally finish reading Grind Forest, I'm going to do some reviews. I think I actually want to start doing in general for other independent creators out there and stuff, because someone recently reached out to me with their short film. I'd love to start a segment. Nice. Several books that I need to get through from other people as well. I would like to start sort of a book club kind of group where I review people's independent stuff. So what I may try to do is put some of the information out there ahead of time, offer my review, and offer people a chance to do that, and then maybe do a live stream, or if the creator wants to come on, speak to them, of other people, give other people time, to read or digest whatever I've reviewed, and then bring the creators on to give people a chance to ask them questions directly, kind of have a little book club about it, etc. So I do already.
That's awesome. creators really need stuff, something like that. Yeah.
And I do already owe you a book review for Grind Forest, as I had promised previously, and I will. I was actually sitting back down and we're getting back and reading it today. I love the style on it. It's very. I love what you did So for those who weren't here earlier, know the whole context. Grizzled, the first book in Grind Forest, is the giant mutant penguin that we were trying to crowdfund as a film a couple years ago now, and without getting it off the ground there, he turned it into a novel, and it was such a great use of the author's voice. I thought, to take something like a screenplay that really is supposed to have zero author's voice in it, is supposed to just read as a blueprint for how to do this, to put a lot of like self-referential jokes and stuff. And a lot of Star Wars references in there too. Yeah, just the Star Wars references. There was something. It was something.
Yeah.
There was a longitude and latitude. It was R2D2 and C3PO, and
right.
another one, a reference to THX 1138 as well. So far that I've grabbed, and then
like I tell you every day, it's Star Wars time.
Star Wars time.
Yeah. There's probably 4, 5, maybe even 6 Star Wars references scattered throughout. I mean, it is mostly a spoof of giant monsters, but it's kind of just a spoof of movies in general too. So
it's a lot of fun. It's a lot. I'm really enjoying it. So we'll definitely have that on and all that stuff. And author Stephen Walton, yes, this is the person I told you about a year ago. I sent you his info. I don't know if you ever connected. So another author in our community. We've got author Rycke Foreman, author Stephen Walton. Yes, same friend. That getting authors together. So
who we don't have author H.R. Pickens.
H.R. Pickens, because I'm
married your granddaughter. I'm sorry, I can't get into this right now.
You guys have to watch this. It's so good.
We're like, what is it, 4 months old? It's like 4 to 6 months old. So it's not the newest. It's his newest.
This one, it's his when he came back. They also did a revisit of the Undercover Boss, which is hilarious. But yeah, it's great. The world needs to see this.
That other one though about flushing all the pads in the house, that was pretty fucking funny too.
Anything Kate McKinnon does just kills me.
She's really good.
She's hysterical.
Ghostbusters 2016? No.
Well, no one was getting that. This is a terrible movie. Yeah, although he was probably
the
best part of a terrible movie though is that
he did make me laugh.
Okay.
When he couldn't figure out how to answer the phone because he thought it was in the fish tank. Anyway, sorry. All right, we've got Mad Libs to get to. We're doing our adult or after dark Mad Libs. So, Rick, you have many children, so I assume you've come across Mad Libs at some point in your life.
That I have.
Of course. So the way we run on this channel basically is I'll give you and Jeff the words to fill in as well as the chat. So the chat's going to get every third word. If anyone sends in a super chat, it will take the whatever chat suggestion you're working on. If it doesn't fit in that suggestion, we'll plug it in somewhere in the Mad Lib. And that's pretty much all the rules you need to know. If you forget what a thing is, then the end. That's how it goes. Since we're starting with a number tonight, Jeff, I'll give you that number.
5011.
There you go. My favorite number. 5011. Chat, you guys are working an adjective for me, but Rick, you're going to start us off with a verb for you.
With a verb. Oh, gosh. Skiing.
There you go. That's a good one.
James Bond.
All right. So chat's working on it. I'm going to have chat work on a couple adjectives for me since I know I just gave this guy to you guys. We'll pull 2 adjectives for the chat for your next couple net words. Let's see. Precocious, whipped, frothy. That's
Starbucks.
Precocious is a good one. Frothies. We'll take frothy for now, but keep those adjectives coming, chat. We will take them from you. Jeff, you're going to hook us up with a plural noun?
Oh, okay. How about melons?
Melons.
Because Pickens is not a plural noun.
It could be like Slim Pickens. Okay. All right. And that gives Rick a part of the body.
Oh boy. You know what? Let's say goiter.
I didn't even know what a goiter was until I met it's just crazy fucking story. This old fisherman, this old guy descended from this fisherman family in Bennington. He was like one of the only people whose family was like from Bennington, Vermont originally. And he was this weird artist too. And his whole thing is he had the goiter family. He would just draw this family of people. They all including the dog, had these giant goiters.
What's a goiter?
Giant benign growth that's usually on your neck.
Ew.
Really weird. Sure. I don't know what Harvey Weinstein's face looks like, but it's weird. Yeah, there you go. Goiter. That's a new. We've not had that one before. All right. We got, let's see, words are adjectives that we've got are sweaty balls. That's sweaty would be foamatic, spotted, fastly, tantalizing, dangling, bloated, faulty, engorged, poked. Let's go faulty. That's just kind of random.
Like Faulty Towers?
Sure.
There you go.
Good.
We should watch that show.
All right. Plural noun from the chat. An adjective from the Jeff.
Let's see.
Weak. Weak like HR Pickens.
By the way, shout out to Toxic Masculinity. I've been reading your chat all night, dude. Keep up the good work.
You've been really on point tonight, Toxic.
We just talking about all his self-improvement and stuff.
Oh, really?
So I was just like, man, that really
That's
inspires
awesome.
me to want to do
I saw some
again.
of that. He was making like some really awesome contributions. It was very out of character for him. He was making a lot of very non-toxic.
Well, everyone has a good day.
It was fun. All right. So while you're working those plural nouns, all right. So it's Rick and a verb ending in ing.
Oh, wow. Well, I already gave you one, but let's see. Rollerblading.
Greg Kirby's back with the anal volcano.
Oh, God. That's good. Maladies, leaks, planetoids, prongs. Brie Larson. She is toxic. Let's see. What else do we have here?
What's their word?
Thighs. It's a plural noun.
Oh, okay.
So, how about the Hanging Gardens of Babylon?
Oddly specific, but it works.
Weapons.
Hey, if it works, use it.
What do I want to grab here? Kneecaps sounds like fun. What do you think?
I'll grab your kneecap. It sounds like fun.
Okay. Chat's going to work on an animal. Jeff, you're also going to get an animal.
This crow! Flies high.
Dead crow?
Yeah, you can put dead crow if you want.
Put crow. All right, Rick, a noun, please.
Oh, boy. Toothpick.
Toothpick. Oh, nice. All right, chat is going to get... let's see, what do we have from chat? Dragon, porg, bearded clam, the noble platypus.
Bearded clam. Bearded clam.
I can't really argue with the. I can't argue with the noble platypus. I'm gonna put it as specifically noble platypus. It is a very noble animal. Oh,
runs with Phantom clearly knows his
man bear pig.
creatures.
Baphomet.
I heard a story about that once. I'll explain. I'll let you read it one day.
When I went to the Satanic Temple's women's mass, it sounds weirder than it is. They had a Baphomet statue there. Their Satanic Temple is hilarious. They're really started as a they're not technically a religious organization. They're technically an organization devoted to free speech, and they do this by effectively trolling any instances where they see that free speech is being unfairly enforced. Specifically, this Baphomet statue was concocted in response to the government trying to put a religious statue on public grounds, and they're like, well, if you can put religious shit here, then we can put our Baphomet here too. And they eventually didn't build that statue. So the Satanic Temple was like, all right, well, we're not going to put ours up. That's cool. My favorite thing, though, was when the Florida State House, thinking they were doing something smart, was like, we're going to put like the Florida Capitol building. They're like, we're going to allow a nativity scene to be displayed in the building. Yes, we understand that all of the religions can choose to represent themselves somewhere. Runs with Anthems, this is not LaVeyan Statism. This is different from LaVeyan Statism. I know these things for reasons. And so the Satanic Temple decided, so a bunch of people applied. The Jews were like, we'll put up a menorah. And then someone put up a Festivus pole. And then they set up a display for the Pastafarians. It was a plate of spaghetti. And meatballs on a plate straight up for the flying spaghetti monster. And so the Satanic Temple was like, we want in. And Florida was like, we're going to pretend we didn't see your email. And so the next year, they were like, we are on time. This is our proposition. If you don't let us do this, we will sue you. And they were like, okay, I guess legally we kind of have to let you do this. So they put up a diorama of a dead angel suspended over hellfire. And then a woman came and whatchamacallit, vandalized this because she was offended by this diorama. So they reset it up, but I guess the string that held up the angel broke. So they released a statement saying, we have fixed our diorama with one additional change. The angel is no longer being suspended over hellfire. It is being consumed by it.
They made it just a little better for themselves.
Exactly. So I went, after reading this, I became very interested in the Satanic Temple, and it was fascinating. Oh, we got the James Baker says, can of corn, take my super chat cherry, be gentle. Well, James Baker says, this is your super chat cherry, and there is no place for can of corn left in this, as we only have a couple more suggestions to cover. We are going to have to do a second Mad Lib tonight.
Oh,
I know, terrible. Just one more. Maybe you'll get your chance. I'll make sure you go down if you do another one.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And everyone needs to go see this Adam Driver Career Day SNL sketch, so you will know what we reference for the rest of our lives, because it's never going to stop.
No, really, it just gets funnier every day.
In the meantime, Jeff, you have a plural part of the
bones.
Bones.
They were never fully formed. I was put in a cast iron.
In a pizza oven.
In a pizza oven.
My bones never hardened, but my spirit did. All right. And Rick, an adjective to finish out this story.
Oh, how about blue?
Blue. There you go.
Yeah.
In a while.
By the way, folks, there he is. Adam Driver is Abraham H. Parnassus. By the way, top 10 funniest SNL sketches.
Yes,
we have to watch it tonight.
It is up there.
If you're a fan of that skit, is it a prerequisite to actually have the picture? Or?
Oh no,
that's all. Right.
Was that on your phone? It just, boy, you brought that up, and for a second it looked like you're just, yeah, I have this handy picture here on my nightstand.
Is a frame of Abraham H.
That's
Parnassus.
your phone, isn't it? Okay.
Oh my god. Yes, Satanists in my experience are relatively nice people. But I met vegan ones and they were terrible. Story number 1. Oh, this is perfect. We're gonna actually get nope. These are gonna be 2 really great ones though. Okay, so tonight's first story is called "What's Your Position?" Part 1. So the Kama Sutra lists 50-11 different ways to ski. Grab a frothy partner and pick one of the following melons for a faulty time. Fixing up a nail. When a woman places one of her legs on a man's goiter and stretches the other out. Practice makes weak. United Congress. When a man enjoys rollerblading with 2 kneecaps at the same time. Lucky crow. Congress of a cow. When a woman gets on all fours and a toothpick mounts her like a noble platypus.
That is gross.
Yawning position. When a woman places both of her bones on a man's shoulders. It may be called yawning, but it's anything but blue.
She only has 2 bones. What, Lady Cassandra? From
Yes, that's.
Moisturize me. Moisturize me. Toothpick porn. Oh my god. Well, that was disturbing. Let's see if we can top it.
Oh,
So we've already got a can of corn in here. Chat's working on an adjective. Rick, we'll let you start us off this time with an adjective.
Oh boy. Flosser.
Flosser?
Yeah. Let me think. Well. Yeah. Okay. No. Here, flaccid. There you go.
There you go. I like that one.
I was thinking, Yeah. I was a little off. My bad.
That's okay. We forgive. We don't expect people to know what adverbs there are on here. Jeff gets a number.
I'm only a writer. Jesus, don't expect me to diagram a sentence for God's sake.
No. That's literature. We write.
For years, Abraham Antoninus was an oil baron.
Is that actually from
That's what it says.
87 years. I didn't remember that number, of course. Okay. What do we got? We got orgiastic, saggy, spreading. Oh god.
Spreading.
Let's go saggy. Zach Blackfire is on fire tonight. I think this is his third Zach Blackfire suggestion I've taken. Classy Cannabis is here. What's up? All right. Chat, you guys get a number next. Rick, plural part of the body, please.
Toes.
Toes. Toes are important. All right. Jeff, a verb ending in ing.
Crushing!
I knew you were going to say that.
I'm reading the history of this article, or this sketch. There's way more than you think.
Oh my god, I'm excited.
It existed before Adam Driver in an improv in Chicago. This guy had been working on it for a long time. By the way, this is his first SNL sketch ever. This guy that wrote it.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Oh my god, he must be so proud of himself.
Eli Coyote Mandel.
All right. All right, where were we? What do we have from the... Oh, we got 69, 3, 42. We've got 2 votes for 69, so we've got to take it. Obviously, that's just how life works. We're, Sam from Flammy TV, 69 with one finger up my ass. Thanks, George Carlin. All right, so chat, you guys are working on a part of the body next. But in the meantime, Rick, you also get another plural part of the body.
Ooh, did Jeff say knees earlier in the last one?
Kneecaps. Someone said kneecaps.
Yeah, someone said kneecaps.
Okay, so let me think. I don't know. Well, shit, shoulders was said too. Come on. How about dicks?
Dicks.
I mean, there's a few people in the world that have dicks.
Just a couple, just like 2 or 3.
Let's go, man. Dark and dirty.
There you go. A noun, please.
H.R. Pickens!
Normally, we advise against plural nouns proper nouns, but there's no stopping you.
He's weak. He doesn't even deserve a proper noun. He's been degraded.
All right, chat. We gave you a part of the body, and what did you give us? Boobs. We're
all adults here, aka big kids with money.
Skin paculum. We'll go with boob. It's singular. Well, I guess we could say boob. That's fine. It's kind of one entity. Boobishness. Trunk. I did not say human, actually. Maybe I should take trunk instead.
Trunk.
Well, with boobs. All right, chat. You are working on a noun. Rick, you also get a noun.
All right. Let's see. Can it be a proper noun, or would a proper noun work?
A proper noun will technically work. Yes. Well,
let's do Atlantis.
Ooh. That's also a place that may or may not exist. So chat's working on a noun. Jeff is working on an adjective.
Dusty. Dusty old bones full of green dust.
God. All right. Noun. Fart knocker. Stethoscope. Cornholio. Trunk would also work as a noun. Shit pancake! How do we not take shit pancake as a suggestion?
For a noun?
Good noun. A shit pancake?
It's a good one.
A shit pancake is a good noun.
Yes. the best.
No, the worst. All right. Chat, you guys are working an adjective. That'll be your last thing. And I'll take a noun from both of you guys.
Noun from both of us?
Yep, Rick and Jeff. Whatever order you'd like to noun me.
Abraham. Yes. I'm gonna ride this skid high from 2 years ago.
How about cigarette?
Cigarette. Nice. Cigarette. Abraham H. Parnassus. What if we forget all about this sketch? One day find this book again, go through, be like, what was that thing?
I like
Google
to
it and
think we're not
rediscover it.
weak like H.R. Pickens, so we won't forget.
We won't forget. We'll crush our enemies. All right. An adjective. Crushed. All right. I have to take crushed.
By the way, this writer talks about what he thinks a day in the life of Abraham H. Parnassus is
Oh
like.
my God.
I'll send you this. This is from.
Also, we already have crushing in here, but I'm taking crushed for you.
Thank you.
Because I can. All right. Are we ready for the art of kissing?
Oh God.
Oh boy.
According to Abraham H. Parnassus, it should be a cake. Yellow.
He'd be the perfect pet for Abraham H. Parnassus.
You're right. He's so jolly and charming, and his owner just be a psychopath.
Protect me, boy.
All right. According to the Kama Sutra, one of the most flaccid aspects of can of corn making is kissing. You may think that you outgrew kissing when you were 87 years old, but think again. The secret to saggy sex is understanding that locking toes is just as important as crushing. There are 69 types of kissing described in the Kama Sutra. There's the straight kiss, where two sets of dicks are brought into direct contact.
Ow!
Great kiss.
Consider your
Timing. Timing is everything.
That is the straight kiss. It's when two dicks touch.
Oh.
It's canon, guys. Straight kissing is when two dicks touch. That's the canon of Scam Moments Entertainment. Two dicks touching. All right, that's great. Consider this your foundation. There's the turned kiss, where one H.R. Pickens holds the head and boobs of the other Atlantis and turns them up for a dusty smooch. The kiss that awakens happens when a shit pancake kisses a woman who is asleep or pretending to be asleep in her cigarette.
It's a tiny woman or a big cigarette.
Yeah, or maybe he kisses her on the cigarette. So the cat just comes up and licks your cigarette. Just be careful of mourning Abraham H. Parnassus. Kissing, easy to learn, crush to master.
You are weak like H.R. Pickens.
I like when your pancake just comes up to you in your sleep and kisses you.
That's Lando.
Kiss it awakens. I'm not really good at that one. That's more for my brother Lando. Hooray! So that is Mad Libs.
Hurrah!
Huzzah! Hurrah, huzzah! And that is our live stream. So, Rick, any last words you'd like to say on the Pale Blue Dot Equation, any of your other works, and where people can find you?
Yeah, just thanks again for having me on and discussing this and discussing like 1,000 other things too, because, that's just a lot more interesting that way. You got to circle back around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't, buy all my books. I got the Pale Blue Dot Equation. I got the book about the giant mutant penguin that Jesse was telling you about. I got a pretty cool slasher that's out. I also got a book of short stories that are done by either me or my son. And we kind of set that up in a way that, hopefully you can see some of the similarities between us and yet some of the differences also. You can find most of that stuff on Amazon. Just spell my name weird as you see it. And that's how you get it. Jump onto, I guess to Facebook and give the Pale Blue Dot page a like. And let me know some of your thoughts. And I would really love to start a conversation over the next year about all this.
Yay. Well, I was absolutely, I found this so fun, so fascinating. It was such a pleasure to have you on and talk to you. Definitely easy to hit 1,000,001 different topics. So we'll definitely be seeing you back here again. And guys, check out the books and come back with your questions next time as well. So we had I've a lot of great ideas and engagement and stuff from the chat. It was a lot of fun just being able to, be positive about something all night. So, and then have a wonderful Mad Libs. I expect everyone watching to have seen Adam Driver's career day on SNL by the time we reconvene.
And if you haven't, you're weak.
You're weak, like HR Pickett will be crushed.
Who is HR Pickett?
Will there be a test?
Yes, there will always be a test. Life is your test.
Look at me, boy.
Look at me, boy. Look at your father.
Your father is speaking.
Oh, God. All right. Well, it has been a blast. Should we do our Corona kiss?
Of course we should.
Okay. It's been forever.
It's just funny how this lady's head is floating there in the ether.
Over you.
I feel like she's judging me.
She is judging you. Lavisha Leslie's judging you. All right, where the fuck is my iTunes? There it is, the music thing. Oh. So, Rick, you're totally welcome to avert your eyes or dip out if you don't want to witness the horror that is the Corona kiss. But many other.
Hey, Champagne,
stop!
Whoops.
He's got a face plowed through a plastic bag, and he's just trying to knock shit down like that. Any who cannot withstand the Corona kiss are weak.
You are the I am Sam of cats.
Terrible. All right, Howie. All right, you can Jeff world-class bullshitters. You can Jeff world-class bullshitters.
You could see me on my own shirt. I was going to show it off, but
Yay! You can Jesse Mindless Entertainment and Jesse Milestone on Twitter, and right here, this is my channel.
And this is our couch.
And this is our couch, and that's Rick's home, and you can't go there.
Champagne, get out of there!
Out of the bag!
He doesn't even want to eat what's in the bag. He's supposed to stick his head through the bag.
Do it, Champagne! Why?
Is this your bag, Champagne?
It's my bag.
Did you buy lunch?
No, it's my lunch.
You
all
eat
right.
shit.
Anyway, Coronicus, and to all a good night.